Good afternoon, all of you. All right. Uh, so, few things first. First of all, a huge welcome to the group. Lovely to see you all. What we would do is I'll just take 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And I will, even though in all the seminars, etc., that I took, I tried explaining how I would go and what I will do. But there I am a little restrained. Here I will not be. So यहाँ मैं ज़्यादा खुल के बात कर सकता हूँ क्योंकि अब आप मेरे बच्चे हो तो मेरे लिए आसानी है. So few things I'll tell you. What first things first, to begin with, we will start off with paper 2 and we will begin with Indian economy between 47 and 91. All right, that is the first point up that we will start off with. So we start with paper 2, and within paper 2, we will be doing Indian economy between 1947 and 1991. If you will see, you will have the notes that I have given you. You will have the syllabus also of our economics course with that notes. All right, if you will check the notes, with the notes you will also have the syllabus of the course. All right, so keep this syllabus always with yourself. This will keep highlighting to you how you should how we are moving. और जब मैं कोई टॉपिक खत्म करूंगा आपको बता भी दूंगा कि मैंने ये टॉपिक अभी कर रहा हूँ आपके साथ और ये खत्म कर रहा हूँ. All right, so I will be doing it like that. So I'll highlight it to you that what did I do and what did I get over with. My method of teaching or mode of teaching will be bilingual. I will be speaking mostly in English because that is what is your medium. I hope everybody knows that. But on all concepts which are relevant, I will be talking in Hindi because it's important that everybody gets the concept. But if I talk something in Hindi and by chance you are somebody here offline or online who doesn't know Hindi, don't worry at all. Whatever I speak in Hindi, I will be repeating it in English. So no worries about that at all. Whatever I will speak in Hindi, I will repeat in English, including the jokes. You don't bother. All right. So we will, again, I repeat, what we will try doing or the methodology that we will try applying is that initially get familiar to the subject. Those of you who do not come with an economics background, those of you who do come with an economics background, great, you are already known to the subject. Those of you who do not come with an economics background, my suggestion will be that you have to read the 11th, 12th micro macro NCRT. That's it. When I teach you, whether I teach you micro or macro or international economics or development theory or public economics, anything, I assume that you have read 11th and 12th NCRT, micro and macro. तो मेरा एक ही assumption होता है कि आपने अपने 11th 12th की किताब पढ़ रखी है. उसके अलावा मेरा कोई assumption नहीं होता. बाकी मैं मानता हूँ मैं ही पहला व्यक्ति हूँ जो आपको economics पढ़ा रहा है. That I am the first person teaching you economics. So I will teach you from the scratch. The reason is, even if you come with an economics background, there will be a lot of unlearning and then there will be a lot of relearning that you will have to do. Like some of you might come with Delhi University background, so you will have a lot of maths in your micro and or a lot of mathematical equations even in development theory questions. That kind of goes away here. All right, in UPSC exam, I don't see them asking you a lot of mathematical questions. There has been, if I go back 10 years, अगर मैं 2013 से अभी तक की बात करूं, so 10 years के पेपर की बात करूं, then out of 10 years of papers, I have hardly seen 4 or 5 questions on numericals. All right, that also 3 out of these 5 questions were asked in a single year. एक साल में 3 क्वेश्चन पूछ लिए थे. तो एक कोई पर्टिकुलर एग्जामिनर होंगे, उनको अच्छा लगा होगा, उन्होंने पुट कर दिया. But other than that, they don't ask. But I would prefer they ask you numericals because I can promise you that I will make sure that you know your numericals very well, whichever they are prone to asking. All right, that I will prepare you with on all the mechanisms. So I rather prefer, if you ask me later on, that they ask numericals because my students, I am always confident, will be able to attempt it well. And numerical is one place where you can score full marks. Other places, they don't give you full marks. They won't even give you 70% very easily. So those things won't happen. But yes, a 55, a 60, a 50 is always attainable. So first thing will be that we will try focusing on Indian economy. In the meantime, I will expect that those of you who are new to the subject will cover through the NCRT along with what I do in the class. Initially, I go slow. And normally also I go slow. I don't believe in hurrying up. But gradually we will pick up pace after I have developed a good rapport that we build together. Another part that one would know, another part that one would know, one of your friend asks me online only micro and macro. Yes, Indian economy, NCRT, you don't need. Whatever will be needed, we will give you details. I have given you some notes. I will also guide you how to read those notes. Don't worry about that. Apart from that, I will also give you my own class notes. I'll dictate it to you in the class. Do keep those notes with yourself. That is one. Now, another thing is the class notes that I give you, A, the printed notes that I give you, B, they should become your primary reading material. All right, primary reading material, the class notes and the printed notes. And the test series that I will conduct with you, the test series for UPSC optional in your batch will be starting next year in June until it goes on till around mid-August, third week August. That test series becomes my methodology of preparing you further beyond what UPSC has not yet asked but might ask. Certain topics on Indian economy before 47, I again use the test series. My moral of the story is, क्योंकि मैं ये हर साल दिक्कत देखता हूं इसलिए आपसे पहली क्लास में हाईलाइट कर रहा हूं, टेस्ट सीरीज इज अ पार्ट ऑफ योर सिलेबस. Even by chance you don't feel like writing the test, at least make sure you are seeing the test papers and you are watching the videos that I create of those tests. I take 30 to 35 sessions between prelims and mains conducting those test discussions. It's practically 2.5 classes, 2 classes at least, on every test that I conduct. And I give you 8 proper tests and 6 practice tests. So total there will be 14 tests. And again I repeat, on these 14 tests, on an average, you will receive 30 to 35 videos of mine. Please don't skip that, because if you skip that, many current events of Indian economy and many events of India before 47 will get skipped, and then you might be found complaining that sir did not cover Indian economy with me. And I will be penalized for not a mistake of mine. मेरी बिना गलती के किए हुए भी आपको मेरे बारे में अच्छे ख्याल आएंगे. तो बस मैं चाहता हूं ये ना हो, कि पक्का करो आप कि जो पढ़ाई हम कर रहे हैं, one is the session is the optional session is approximately 110 classes, approximately, give or take 5. It might be 5 plus, might be 5 minus, depending on how we shape up. But approximately 110 classes is how optional class is what I take. Out of these 110 classes, normally speaking, around 45 are for Indian economy and 65 are for the paper 1, or 50-60 kind of. But when I take your tests, by then I am much clearer about what kind of question the mains exam can expect me to ask. And then I start putting many things in your test series. Many talks related to current events, many talks related to even India before 47. And that you please make sure you have covered, because then your preparation is complete, both paper 1. Even in paper 1, there are few things that they have not yet asked. They can sound a little outlandish, or there are few difficult questions that they have asked, but asked only once in the last 10 years. All these things I cover with you in the test series. What I'm trying to assure you is entire 10-year papers and your syllabus I will be covering with you using these class discussions and the test series. Be assured of that. आप उसको लेके कोई चिंता मत रखो अपने दिमाग में. इसीलिए मैं बार बार टेस्ट सीरीज के ऊपर पुश कर रहा हूं कि वो जरूर तुम्हें कर लेना चाहिए, क्योंकि तभी तुम्हारी प्रिपरेशन इंटायरली कंप्लीट होती है. प्लस इट गिव्स यू राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस. अनलेस यू हैव नॉट रिटन, the answers are never, the capability is never complete in the optional paper. So I try giving you that writing practice. I will give it to you in the classroom also. In fact, in your batch, I have started the process where I will be giving you tests on micro, tests on macro, and so on. And you know what I plan to do? Whatever tests I have given to the previous year batches, because I never repeat my tests. So whatever tests I have given to them, I'll give it all to you in advance. Especially the last couple of years. कि जो टेस्ट उन्होंने लिख रखे हैं, मैं आपको टेस्ट कर लूंगा, मतलब दे दूंगा. आप देख लीजिए कि आपसे वो क्वेश्चन कितने सॉल्व हो रहे हैं, और जो नहीं हो रहे हैं वो तो मैं डिस्कस करूंगा ही आपके साथ. बट दैट इज द मेथड बाय विच वी विल गो डिस्कसिंग थिंग्स. I'm beginning with, again I repeat, I'm beginning with paper 2. Around 9 to 10 sessions it takes me on paper 2, where I will teach you Indian agri, first of all Indian growth trends. अगर आप अपने सिलेबस को देखेंगे तो एक वो कहते हैं ग्रोथ ट्रेंड्स. तो ट्रेंड्स ऑन जीडीपी, ट्रेंड्स ऑन जीडीपी पर कैपिटा, ट्रेंड्स ऑन ऑक्यूपेशनल स्ट्रक्चर, all this I will teach you. I will begin with that. That will be our first couple of sessions. And when I say I discuss with you, I mean that I will not only give you the data, I will also analyze the data with you as to how it happened, why it happened, and so on. After that, I talk to you on Indian agriculture. I talk to you on Indian industry in between 47 and 91. I talk to you about genesis and issues of public sector between 47 and 91. And few things we will talk about poverty between 47 and 91. These are some basic things we will keep covering on 47 and 91. And once that part is done, then I go to microeconomics. The reason I start with paper 2 are two. One, it allows you to get familiar properly. But more importantly, I will be using our discussion in paper 2 in also guiding you while teaching you paper 1, like micro or macro or international economics, that how you could have used certain instances of paper 2 and quoted in your answers in paper 1. And similarly, when I will teach you paper 2 again, I will teach you how you can use the knowledge of paper 1 in writing your answers in paper 2. All right, so that is how we will try optimizing our things. Uh, you can always contact me. This is my number. मुझे उम्मीद है आपको मेरा नाम पता होगा, but फिर भी for the sake of assurance, this is my name. So this is my number, 98181-23385. Feel free to connect to me. All right. I am in my classes normally many of the times or in my research. So sometimes I may not be able to pick up your call immediately. Just leave a message for me that, sir, I want to talk. I will fix up a time and we will talk. All right. But if I don't pick up the call, don't get frustrated. You will slightly get used to it gradually. But I am unable to pick up, like right now I'm talking to you. How do I pick up a call that rings there? All right. So that is why, and believe me, 9 odd hours in a day I am in my classes and 5 to 6 hours in my research. So after that, I tend to fix up my timings with you. Now, that is one. So this is my number. Do contact. You will be helped by Sandeep sir. He is sitting right at the back over there. Sandeep, तुम खड़े होकर हाथ हिलाओ सबको जरा मेरे लिए. तो संदीप सर जो हैं वो आपके गो टू पर्सन है. ऑल राइट. जो हमारा, एक बात और, आपके ग्रुप में आप करीब 500 से ज़्यादा लोग हो, लेकिन टेलीग्राम ग्रुप में मैं मुश्किल से 350 और देख रहा हूँ. इसका मतलब आप में से बहुत लोगों ने अभी तक टेलीग्राम ग्रुप ज्वाइन नहीं किया है. ऑल राइट. सो वी हैव मेड अ टेलीग्राम ग्रुप ऑफ योर्स. Check your email, online plus offline. If you are not a part of that telegram group, check your email. Please check your spam folder also. The mail might have gone into your spam folder and you will get the link to the group. All right, do join the group because I will be sharing many things on the group. Most importantly, even you share many things on the group where you start discussions based on some question I discussed in the class and so on. So it's benefit for everyone. I have only one request in the first class. It will be better if all of us can create, you can create an informal group as you get to know each other. मुझे भी include कर लो, मैं अपने सारे informal groups का भी part रहता हूँ because I don't judge my students at all. I'm very happy rather, connecting to your generation. तो मुझे भी अपने informal group का part बना लो. लेकिन जो बातचीत करनी है ना, आज सर की तोंद ज़्यादा निकली हुई थी टाइप से, वो बातचीत informal group पे हो तो ज़्यादा बेहतर है rather than on the formal group. Because formal group, it's always good that we use it for news sharing or article sharing or maybe some important information that we have to give you. I believe you understand what I'm implying. तो अगर आप बाई चांस अपने मूड में हो कि चलिए आज थोड़ा गॉसिप भी करने का मन कर रहा है, नए नए दोस्त मिले हैं, कुछ मुझे बताना भी है कि देखो मैं भी ये जानता हूँ, तुम जानो मेरे साथ, ऐसे फीलिंग्स आएंगी. अभी शुरुआत में तो बहुत ज़्यादा, initial days the group is very voraciously active. So you do put your things on the group, but gradually we will try developing an informal group where we can shift so that this group remains for exchanging things which are more formal in structure. But gradually you can do that. My suggestion is that. Another is few things that you keep in mind. Initially, there was a plan that we will be able to give you, because yesterday I saw some talks happening on the group, so I'm clarifying myself, that we will be able to give you 7 days video and so on. But there is a technical problem in that my teaching methods keep changing. So it's very difficult to find those 7 days video and give it to you in the same sequence that I will teach your class. Like now, normally say in a GS class also what, and those of you who are GS students of next IAS, you compare my class with you this year and compare it to the videos you are getting last year and you will feel them different. ये यार ये आदमी तो कुछ और ही बोलने आ गया आज क्लास में. उसका कारण बड़ा सिंपल सा होता है. एक डायनामिक सब्जेक्ट पढ़ाता हूँ तो डिस्कशंस डायनामिकली चेंज होते हैं. अब पिछले साल इंटरनेशनलाइजेशन ऑफ करेंसी इतना ज़्यादा डिबेट में नहीं था तो मैं नहीं कर पा रहा था उतना. इस साल है तो करूँगा. यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट. तो अगर प्रोफेसर रिजाइन कर रहे हैं अशोका यूनिवर्सिटी में इसी साल तो मुझे पिछले साल कैसे दिव्य चक्षु से पता चलता कि ऐसा होने वाला है. So maybe I would have said nothing last year about it. I might say something about the economic implications of illiberal academics this year. So my point that I'm trying to make to you is that that is why I thought a better idea can be, and that will be seamless, don't worry. That's why I told Sandeep sir, you have your doubts, you need a notes, you need my help. Sometimes if I'm not there, Sandeep sir will help you for sure. You know, I trust him a lot. So in case you have a reason where you are going out for some reason, or you are unwell, or you have a college exam, do not worry at all. You will be given accessibility to the live class. All right, so you don't worry about that. All right, you will have accessibility to the class. In case you say no sir, I can't live without your video, then the only option is to shift online. All right, but in offline my videos won't help me. Trust me on that. They will not help you. I realized it, and hence I asked the institute that it won't help my economics optional students, because even in your batch, some of you would notice that I will change the structure of teaching you. The language can change in certain topics. Some topics I will skip, which I taught last class, some new I will include. So, you know, that way it is always very difficult to give you the same videos, because then, in a sense, I'm telling you that, okay, if you have not come to the class, doesn't matter. You see the video and you are okay. But believe me, that is not okay. And the problem then will be the gap in which I will think you know and what you will not be knowing. तो मुझे लगेगा कि मैं तो पढ़ा चुका हूँ, ये तो इनको आना चाहिए, लेकिन आपने पिछले साल वाली वीडियो देखी होगी और आपको वो नहीं आता रहेगा. तो ये गलत दिक्कत आएगी हमारे सब्जेक्ट में. बट आप बिल्कुल चिंता ना करें. आपको जब भी कोई दिक्कत आती है, ये मैं नंबर आपके साथ इसीलिए शेयर करता हूँ, आप मुझे मैसेज कीजिए, मैं पक्का रिस्पॉन्ड करता हूँ. आप में से कुछ लोग मुझे काफ़ी दिनों से जानते हैं, तो आप अच्छी तरह से जानते हैं दैट एक मैसेज ना रिस्पॉन्ड करूँ. यहाँ तक कि कोई मुझे गुड मॉर्निंग भी भेजते हैं तो मैं गुड मॉर्निंग भी रिस्पॉन्ड करता हूँ. यू नो, आई डू दैट. सो आई हैव दिस हैबिट दैट आई रिस्पॉन्ड टू एवरीथिंग दैट आई रिसीव. You know, so you do, and I respond in the same way as I receive it. You know, so anyways, so don't worry at all. You do send your things, and I will be willing to respond. But this is one challenge. Any doubt before your class, 15 odd minutes, 20 minutes before your class, you will see me sitting here. All right. आज भी मैं आके बैठा हुआ था आपकी क्लास के पहले करीब आधे घंटे. और after your class also, I will be here. Even if I have a class after yours, I have made sure that that class never begins before 6 or 6:15. So if our class ends at 5:30, I will surely have half an hour before I leave you, or before your class also I am here. Otherwise also, if you want to see me, feel free. We'll fix up a time. You come over, we will discuss. Like, don't have any of those hassles in the mind. Second thing that I want you to do, initially I will teach you 5 days in a week, Monday to Friday, and I will give you Saturday, Sunday off. But gradually, by the time it's around October end, I will start making it 6 days in a week. But during October, because we are in a system where a lot of festivals will happen, so during October, suppose if there is a festive thing going on, say Diwali or Dashera, and we are forced to take an off, then maybe we can cover it up by making it as a working Saturday if that is permitted. अगर वो फेस्टिवल सैटरडे को ही नहीं पड़ रहा, कहीं वीकडे में पड़ गया, तो मैं कंपनसेट करने के लिए एक वर्किंग सैटरडे यूज कर लूंगा उसको, सो दैट वी डोंट गो मच बिहाइंड द कर्व. जैसा मैंने आपको कहा, वी नीड 110 क्लासेस. 12 क्लासेस वी विल हैव इन अगस्त, because this Saturday I am not leaving you. You will meet me this Saturday. Next Saturday onwards, the process begins. All right. And then, so this 12 classes in August, and 22, 23 classes in September, October, which will take us, and then 24, 24, 25 classes each in November, December. So that is the plan, that if we can do it like that, then we will be done with 110 classes by December end. I will still believe that तुम अपनी planning ऐसे करो कि उसे December end, January first week के बीच का रखो. We are all humans. We don't know how much time I take, what transpires in between. But my full effort will be, even if it means taking regular and extra classes, my full effort will be to finish things up by maximum January first week for those of you who are preparing optional. Those of you who are preparing for economic services will have to give me around 15 days more after January 1st week. But after that, again, I will plan that you are set free. Your economic survey test series, services test series will begin from first week February or second week February. I'll let you know. But those of you who are preparing only for economic services, or those of you who are prioritizing economic services, the test series will begin. The test series is also included with the course. So you will have the tests, you will have the model answers, you will have the corrected papers in the normal way. So that test series begins from sometimes around February second week and will go on till around April end, May first week. I will take 8 tests in that. Again, 2 tests for every paper. Like paper 1, 2 tests, paper 2, 2 tests, 3, 2 tests, and 4, 2 tests. That is how the economic services test series will go on. Another thing that I needed you to know was, initially, I will give you writing practice, as in, I will give you questions after the week ends. Like this week I'll not give you anything, क्योंकि मैं 2-3 दिन में आपको इतना कुछ नहीं पढ़ा दूंगा कि आप एक सवाल का जवाब लिख दो. But अगले वीक से ये प्रोसेस शुरू करेंगे. I will give you 2 questions every week, and that will continue till the first 6-7 weeks. I will train you how to write 15-17 answers in the process, and then I will give you questions, and I will expect that you write and show it to me. So that ways, 2 questions per week kind of practice will mean that over a course of 4.5 months, which will be something like 25 weeks, you would have written 50-60 questions on your own. And that will mean that we would have prepared you better on things. One last thing before I start setting out, and I can take your questions if you have any. And Sandeep sir will share his number with you. आप वो संदीप ग्रुप पे भी शेयर कर लेंगे तुम्हारा नंबर. @Sandeep08 इनका टेलीग्राम आईडी है, तो आप इन्हें, और @VJ1976 मेरा टेलीग्राम आईडी है. ऑलराइट, तो आप टेलीग्राम पे भी कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं, बट फोन नंबर्स भी रहेंगे आपके पास. फील फ्री टू कनेक्ट. कोई डाउट आए, दिक्कत आए, कोई ऐसा इशू आए कि तुम्हारे क्लास छूट गई, कभी ये इशू आए कि तुम क्लास में थे लेकिन क्लास छूट गई, ये सारी चीजें हो जाती हैं. ऑलराइट, डू लेट मी नो. If I will know, believe me, I will find a solution. We are a team together. When you qualify, I automatically succeed. So the whole idea is to make sure that you qualify by all the right means, of course. तो उसमें प्रोसेस, मेरी कोशिश यही रहती है कि ऑप्शनल में आपके नंबर जितने ज्यादा आ सकें. Our target will be target. Again, it's all UPSC thing. We can't for sure say things, but our target will be to get into a zone where we are confident about a 270, 275. That zone is what I will try getting you into, and that is why I told you writing practice, test series, revision is the key. टेस्ट सीरीज पे मैं बार बार इसलिए इंसिस्टेंट होता हूं क्योंकि अगर आप हिम्मत करके वो टेस्ट सीरीज दे दिए मेरे साथ, तो आपके 3 रिविजन मैं करा दूंगा. बिकॉज देयर विल बी फर्स्ट सेक्शनल टेस्ट, माइक्रो मैक्रो, second will be international economics development theory, and third will be Indian economy between 47-91, money banking public economics. Fourth will be Indian economy after 91 and Indian economy before 47. This will mean once you have covered your syllabus. Then I will take test 1 entire test, paper 1. Once again you cover the syllabus. Paper 2 entire test, again a syllabus covered, and again paper 1 entire test, again paper 2 entire test. और ये सारे 10 डेज के ड्यूरेशन पे मैं ये टेस्ट रखता हूं. तो अगर आप ये करते जाते हो मेरे साथ, तो 3 महीने जरूर आपको 5-5 घंटे देने पड़ेंगे, बट यू विल बी एबल टू कवर द सिलेबस अप प्रॉपरली. Alright, so this is something that I just wanted you to keep in mind, that do let me know any problem that you would face. I will be trying to solve something out over there. You can send it to us on Telegram. There is a question that how do you evaluate questions of online students? You send it to me on Telegram, and for test series, we will have, we will have an email ID developed for you. So don't worry about that at all. You don't have to read any standard books right now. Sanjana, I was answering your question. All right. You just send me a personal message on Telegram, Aman. All right, there is one more thing that one of your friend asks regarding RBI. The syllabus that they have now made, the new syllabus, is almost in synchronization with IES syllabus. I repeat again, 110 classes for optional and another 15-20 classes for RBI plus IES which is not covered under optional because the syllabus doesn't permit it. I can't teach you mathematical micro in optional or econometrics in optional classes because they are not a part of optional syllabus of UPSC. They are a part of RBI or IES that I will teach you separately then. So around 15-20 sessions we take with you separately on those, and but it is available for everyone. अगर आपको लगता है नहीं सर मैंने IES में देना तो नहीं चाहता बट देखना चाहता हूँ आप कितना जानते हैं, आप आप अलाउड होंगे. मैं किसी को रेस्ट्रिक्ट नहीं करता कि जो आईईएस दे रहे हैं वही उस क्लास में आ सकते हैं. एक बार आप ऑप्शनल का पार्ट बने आप इसके ऑटोमेटिकली पार्ट हैं. So there will be no special permission or extra permission, nothing like that. Part of optional, I've kept it as a part of group. For RBI, I will also have to prepare you on probability because they do ask you questions on statistical probabilities at times. IES doesn't ask you that. All right, so that is another extra thing we will do with you. But other than that, we will cover it in this manner. All right. And I again repeat, the tests that I will take of yours will be conducted for both online and offline students. Even the test series will be for both online and offline students. There will be no difference in that. All right. Somebody was asking yesterday on the group. एक बात और ख्याल रखना, मैं ग्रुप पे सब कुछ पढ़ता हूँ. मैं सीरियसली बता रहा हूँ क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कहीं कोई क्वेश्चन किसी ने पूछा मुझसे छूट ना जाए. अगर आप मुझे टैग करके कुछ लिखो तो मुझे फिर भी पता रहता है. कल मैं ग्रुप पे इसलिए इंटरफेयर नहीं कर रहा था कि मैंने सोचा पहली बातचीत क्लास में हो जानी चाहिए, फिर आपको मुझे ग्रुप पे, क्योंकि अचानक लगेगा रोबो लिख रहा है या विभास लिख रहा है, कौन लिख रहा है पता नहीं. आई रीड ईच एंड एवरीथिंग दैट यू राइट ऑन द ग्रुप बिकॉज आई वॉन्ट टू मेक श्योर एंड एवरी ग्रुप ऑफ माइंड, जो व्हाट्सएप के ग्रुप बने हैं, यहाँ तक कि जो गूगल के ग्रुप हैं, मैं वो भी सब ढूंढ के पढ़ता रहता हूँ कि किसी ने कुछ लिखा है, कोई ज़रूरत है किसी को, कोई डाउट है, मैं सॉल्व कर दूँ. तो कल कोई आप में से ग्रुप पे लिख रहे थे कि ऑफलाइन को बेनिफिट क्या है. आपको सबसे बड़ा बेनिफिट है कि आप हर दिन इमीडिएटली मुझे एक्सेस कर सकते हो. ये बिगेस्ट बेनिफिट होता है ऑफलाइन का. आपके एक डाउट आए, आपने एक क्वेश्चन लिखा, आप क्लास के पहले आए, सर मैंने ये लिखा है जरा देखेंगे. तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा बेनिफिट है ऑफलाइन का जो आप अभी रियलाइज नहीं करेंगे. मैं आपसे 4 महीने बाद बात करूंगा. इट्स अ ह्यूज एडवांटेज दैट यू हैव. समटाइम्स यू मिस आपको ये लग सकता है मुझे वीडियो नहीं मिलेगा अगर मैं क्लास मिस कर गया हूं. तो एक काम करना, हमेशा अगर मिस करो तो 3-4 दिन मिस करके वीडियो ले लेना. वो ज्यादा बेहतर है. आराम से घर बैठ के वीडियो देख के 3-4 दिन लाइव क्लास करके फिर आ जाओ. इट विल बी अ मच बेटर आइडिया. और बाई चांस एक क्लास मिस किए हो तो वीडियो की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. आई एम विथ यू. तुम लाओ अपने डाउट्स, बोलो सर कल की क्लास में आपने ये किया था, अगर आप मुझे हेल्प कर दें, आई एम विलिंग टू हेल्प यू. इट्स माई जॉब, सो आई एम डूइंग नो फेवर टू एनीवन. तो एक क्लास छूटने के लिए कोई वीडियो की भी चिंता मत करना. तुम बस नोट जरूर ले लेना. और अगर कोई बोलते हैं कि कुछ भी नहीं कराया सर ने, तो बोलना दिखाओ तो क्या था वो कुछ भी नहीं. बिकॉज 2.5 hours आई टॉक टू यू एंड नॉट मेक यू राइट एनीथिंग, आई विल हैव टू बी astonishingly fraudulent. You know, there are people like that in the system, I understand, but I am not that. You know, मैं नहीं हूं वो. तो इसीलिए आप बिल्कुल ध्यान रखिएगा, अगर क्लास छूटी तो नोट्स जरूर मांगेंगे कि क्या कवर किया था क्लास में, और नहीं तो मुझसे आके पूछ लेना कि सर बच्चे तो कह रहे हैं कि आपने टाइम पास किया था, आपने किया क्या था कल की क्लास में. तो ये जितनी बात मैं कर रहा हूँ पहली ही क्लास में कर लेता हूँ, सो दैट एवरीबडी इज क्लियर. देन रिमेंबर, अनलाइक GS क्लासेस वी हैव 2.5 hours फॉर ऑप्शनल, सो आई विल हैव टू पुश यू अ लिटिल मोर देन यूजुअल. Last thing on economics preparation, the only thing you cannot afford is not being diligent. So for heaven's sake, don't let that happen. जब लोग आपको कहते हैं इकोनॉमिक्स टफ है, टफ बिल्कुल नहीं है. अगर टफ होता तो मेरे जैसे लोग PhD नहीं करते. तो टफ नहीं है बिल्कुल इकोनॉमिक्स के साथ, लेकिन एक आदत डेवलप करनी पड़ेगी आपको. यू कैन नॉट लीव द वर्क पेंडिंग एंड यू कैन नॉट स्लीप इन द क्लासरूम. That is why I told you that in the classroom, if you slept by chance, just let me know. I will still handle it. You know कि उसको कैसे ठीक करना है. और आप निश्चिंत रहिए, मैं बिल्कुल जज, मैं आप देख चुके हैं मुझे GS में बहुत लोग. अगर आप मेरी क्लास में 3:30 बजे भी आते हैं, 2:30 की जगह या 3:30, I still don't bother that why are you coming in at 3:30. It rather I feel good that you have that energy to study, that even though you got delayed, you made sure you are here. You could have easily skipped. So I believe in thinking things in the positive manner. और ये मेरा बिलीफ सिस्टम ही है. मुझे नहीं दिखती नेगेटिविटी, अब क्या करें, लेकिन मुझे दिखता है आपके एफर्ट्स जो आप करते हैं. तो इसीलिए अगर किसी दिन लेट भी हो गए हो, 3:30 क्या 4 भी बज गए हैं, और तुम्हें क्लास में आना है, तुम आ जाओ. मैं तुम्हें कभी नहीं कहूंगा कि तुम क्लास में लेट क्यों आए हो. बाई चांस तुम किसी दिन क्लास में सो गए, मैं मजाक में नहीं, सीरियसली कह रहा हूँ। तुम रात को पढ़े कोई, मान लो नेक्स्ट डे नहीं टाइम मिला, या रात को कोई अच्छे दोस्त आ गए, खाना पीना हो गया, नेक्स्ट डे सुबह नहीं टाइम मिला सोने का, सीधा क्लास में पहुंच गए। अब क्लास भी हमारी देखो टाइमिंग ऐसी खतरनाक है, 3 बजे से, तो पेट भरा रहता है, सारा ब्लड फ्लो इधर खाना पचाने के लिए, कुछ इधर जाने को तैयारी नहीं है। तो देखना कभी कभी मैं जैसे अभी बात कर रहा हूं ना, अचानक धीरे धीरे मन करेगा ऐसा, फिर ऐसा। तो अगर ये हो जाए बाई चांस 5-7 मिनट्स, तो भी चिंता मत करना, बाद में आके मुझे बता दो, सर मैं सो गया था, थक गया था थोड़ा, अगर आप मुझे बता दें, आई एम विलिंग टू गिव दैट आंसर टू यू। All right, I don't judge my children at all, and that applies not only on my biological children, it applies on all of you too. I don't judge you by any means. We have all done worse mistakes than what you guys can even imagine. तो अभी देखने में से सीधे साधे तोंद वाले चश्मा वाले दिखते हैं ना, we were also in college, we have done many things that I understand is a normal thing to be done. If you rather don't do those things at your age, तो अपने चरण दे देना प्रभु, आप तो संत हैं, गलती से स्टूडेंट के रूप में मेरे सामने आए हैं। ओके, सो लेट्स गेट गोइंग। आई विल इनिशिएट टॉकिंग टू यू on one methodology which is about developing or development of structural changes in India. So you give a heading, you write economic structure in India. Sandeep, online material upload हो गया है ना? So Antonia, your material has been uploaded. You check on online in the PDF section. You will get the material uploaded over there. And by chance, if an online student wants to pick up notes from Next IAS, you can come and pick up your notes from Next IAS also. The online notes are already uploaded on the group. Please check that. Yes, you can give the practice tests, Chanchal, not a problem. But you rather take the tests always. All right. There are 2 questions that I will answer quickly online. One, and just one more thing to online students. In case any of your answer remains unanswered, question rather remains unanswered, contact me after the class on the message. Leave that question on the message. I will respond. It's possible sometimes the chat box gets flooded, so it's possible I may not be able to see your question. It might get under the deluge of other questions. So in that case, you can just leave it for me on the group, and I'll let you know. All right. Now see, first things first. One question I am asked is here that how do we cover the news? See, right now, don't bother about the news much. Most importantly, the business page is not for you. UPSC aspirants के लिए business page नहीं होता, उनको नहीं देखना चाहिए। ऑलराइट, इकोनॉमिक्स ऑप्शनल भी तुमसे कभी नहीं पूछेगा कि शेयर मार्केट में कौन सा BSE 30 में कौन से 30 इंडेक्स हैं, ऐसे कोई सवाल नहीं आएंगे। सो ऑल द ड्रीम्स यू सी अबाउट बिजनेस अंडरस्टैंडिंग will be shattered badly in this course preparation. All right. So business news is not for you. Inflation news, which keeps coming every month, not for you. How you should prepare then? Gradually, as I make you a little more stronger and as you become a little more stronger theoretically, we can start focusing on certain news that can affect our paper 2 and which we can use in paper 1. For example, if there is some news connected to infrastructure development in India, if some news is connected to poverty eradication in India, if there is some editorial written on banking development in India, these are useful things for you. But otherwise, news on RBI's decision for internationalization of rupee. तुम एक बात सोच के देखो, 22 कंट्रीज हो या 50 कंट्रीज हो जिनके साथ हमारा यूपीआई अरेंजमेंट हो जाए, तुम यूपीएससी में कभी भी इन 50 कंट्री के नाम लिखने वाले हो? नहीं। तो क्यों याद करके दिमाग खराब कर रहे हो अपना? हमेशा ये सोचो मैं लिखूंगा क्या वहां, तो लिखोगे क्या? व्हाट इज इंटरनेशनलाइजेशन ऑफ करेंसी? व्हाट आर द एडवांटेजेस ऑफ इंटरनेशनलाइजेशन ऑफ करेंसी? What are the disadvantages of internationalization of currency? What are the steps taken by RBI for internationalization of currency? What is the way forward hereafter? तुम्हें ये आंसर ढूंढना है, और ये आंसर अखबार नहीं दे रहा ठीक से, इसीलिए ऐसे क्लासेस की जरूरत पड़ती है। This answer I assure you I'll give you, but this has to be your structuring in the mind. That what is the need? What are the steps taken? What are the advantages, disadvantages? What does the term internationalization of currency mean? And I will also tell you some of the theoretical background to it as to in economics literature, what have we done about it. So, that is how you will gradually grow in the subject. So on current affair news, don't worry. As I go on teaching you, you will understand a lot of things, but this will happen gradually. Right now, my suggestion is keep reading your editorials in a normal manner, keep reading your newspapers in a normal manner. If by chance you don't understand something in the newspaper, you can surely send it to me on my ID and I will respond. I won't hesitate. If by chance it has to come later, I will know. I will tell you it will come later. But there was a news like yesterday there or day before. There was a news about certain decisions that SEBI has taken regarding stock market. नहीं आते ये सवाल, प्रीलिम्स तक में नहीं आते. जब मैं आपको पढ़ाता हूं तो इस तरह से पढ़ाता हूं कि आपके जीएस पेपर 3 भी कवर हो जाए पूरी तरह. बट कुछ चीजें लगता है वो आएंगी, कभी कभी करंट अफेयर मटेरियल्स भी उनको इंक्लूड कर लेते हैं. बट आप कभी प्रीलिम्स का पेपर उठा के देखना पिछले 10 सालों का. See the trend, what kind of questions they are asking. So what they are not asking ever, why should we prepare that? By chance, if one question comes from there, doesn't matter, we will leave it, get ahead. In optional, they will never push you apart from the analytical aspect, and that I will prepare you for. All right, so don't worry about this part. News पढ़ने के लिए अभी नॉर्मल पढ़ते रहो. कुछ चीजें ना समझ में आए मुझसे पूछ लो. अगर कुछ चीज लगे यूज कैसे करेंगे ले आओ मेरे पास, मैं बता दूंगा कैसे यूज. जैसे इन्फ्लेशन की बात है, तो इन्फ्लेशन के ट्रेंड्स पता होने चाहिए हमें. When was inflation rising? When was it falling? साथ में पता होना चाहिए what were the steps taken to control inflation. You understand that? साथ में पता होना चाहिए what is the way forward from here. तो इस तरह से हमें बातचीत पता होनी चाहिए. But you don't need all the data on inflation per se. No, it will not be inclusive. It will be exclusive. Venkatesh, maybe you didn't hear me earlier. All right. And another is, should we start practicing answer writing from now on? So which answer will you write? Think of it. You know, पहले चलना सीखोगे तब तो भागोगे ना. You got to learn how to walk, how to stand, and then only you can run. See, when you hear all those lovely toppers talk, believe me, I've seen many of those toppers sitting like this in front of me many years in my life. You know, तो मैं आज भी उनको वही प्यार करता हूं, वही इज्जत देता हूं जो अपने स्टूडेंट्स को देता हूं. मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि जब वो टॉपर बन जाते हैं, क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोग तो रिजल्ट आने के 7 दिन पहले ये पूछ रहे होते हैं कि सर अगले साल की तैयारी कैसे की जाए. फिर रिजल्ट आता है, फिर वो टॉपर्स के ग्रुप में आते हैं, फिर वो सडनली बोलते हैं आई थिंक व्हाट शुड बी डन. हाउ कम? दिस फेलो वाज आस्किंग 7 days बैक व्हाट हैज टू बी डन, एंड दिस फेलो इज नाउ कमेंटिंग ऑन व्हाट शुड बी डन. सो दिस इज अंडरस्टैंडेबल, द सिस्टम वर्क्स लाइक दैट. बट डोंट वरी, जब आपको वो बोलते हैं मैंने आंसर राइटिंग की प्रैक्टिस की, मैंने बहुत सारे आंसर्स लिखे, ये ग्रेजुअली आप डेवलप करेंगे. तभी मैंने कहा दैट आफ्टर एवरी वीक आई विल मेक यू राइट 2 आंसर्स, and gradually you will see that over 10 weeks, 15 weeks, you will be very robust, and then you can start practicing writing 2 answers, 3 answers in 1 hour, and gradually it can be 4 answers in 1 hour. And then imagine if you can give 2 such months, 60 days to 2 hours each, 1 hour for GS, 1 hour for optional, and if you can write 4 hours in 1 hour, 4 answers, 240 answers over 60 days in each of them. So don't worry, आंसर राइटिंग जरूर करवाऊंगा मैं, टेस्ट जरूर होंगे, और आईईएस की क्लास अलग से होगी कंपेयर टू ऑप्शनल क्लास. आप निश्चिंत रहें, मैं बिल्कुल फ्रॉड नहीं हूं. Alright, बहुत मुश्किल से जो थोड़ी बहुत इज्जत बनी है वो बनी है. आपको बिल्कुल ये निराशा नहीं होगी कि मुझे साथ नहीं मिला सर का. आई कैन ओनली प्रॉमिस यू दैट एट ऑल पॉइंट्स ऑफ टाइम यू विल सी मी स्टैंडिंग बाय यू, इवन गॉड फॉरबिड, बट इवन लेटर इन द ईयर्स. कोर्स खत्म होने का मतलब ये बिल्कुल नहीं होता कि आपकी मेरी दोस्ती खत्म होगी. ये दोस्ती तो हो गई अब लाइफ लॉन्ग. हाँ, अगर तुम क्वालिफाई कर जाते हो तो वो तुम्हारी चॉइस होगी कि तुम रखना चाहते हो या नहीं. मेरी तरफ से हमेशा रहेगी लाइफ लॉन्ग. बट थैंकफुली क्वालिफाई करने के बाद भी देखता हूँ रख ही लेते हो, बर्थडे याद रख लेते हो, विश कर देते हो. मुझे आश्चर्य भी लगता है कि इतना तो खैर मैं इंपॉर्टेंट भी नहीं हूँ, बट यू कीप दैट कीप्स मी हैप्पी. ऑल राइट, नाउ व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट इकोनॉमिक स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ इंडिया, कुछ बातें मैं एक्सप्लेन करूंगा एंड देन वी विल ग्रेजुअली गो अहेड. It is not in your printed notes. I will dictate it to you. All right, your printed notes don't begin with economic structure entirely, but I'll dictate it to you. Let's see. So when you talk about the term economic structure, it has 2 components. This economic structure has 2 components. One is income structure, that is share of agriculture, industry, and services in GDP. And second is occupational structure, that is share of different sectors in the workforce. Or labor force. Share of different sectors in the workforce or labor force. This is economic structure which consists of occupational structure and income structure. Yes, your economy portion for prelims will also get covered, Divyanshi. With GS preparation, I'll guide you. Don't worry. Let's go ahead a little bit with the optional course. I will help you that how you can manage your GS as well as economy, the optional part together. I will expect you to know the basics. SK Sharma, I'm answering your question. The basics on econometrics and quantitative eco. All right. So the basics you should understand. In case the problem persists, you can contact me. I will help you out. The Telegram group email ID has been sent to you. On your email ID, the link has been sent to you, Sanjana. Check on that. Those of you who have not yet joined the Telegram group, please do, online or offline. There is a single Telegram group we have made. You will get the link in your email ID. In case the link is not working for any of you, it can happen. Leave a personal message for me or Sandeep sir. Sandeep sir, you can leave a message for him at Sandeep at 08 at the rate Sandeep 08, or you can leave it for me at VJ1976. We'll include you in the group. But I hope you find the link and it is working for most of you. So do join. It's important. All right. Let's come to this now. अब जब मैंने कहा एग्रीकल्चर इंडस्ट्री एंड सर्विसेज, तो ये जो डिस्टिंक्शन था इंडिया में, ये क्रिएट किया प्रोफेसर वीके आरवी राव ने. The distinction between agriculture, industry, and services was created by Professor V.K. R.V. Rao, who, for the first time, diligently calculated and estimated GDP of India. He was the first one. Before him, people had estimated it, like Dadabhai Naroji had estimated it, M.G. Ranade had estimated it. But Professor Rao was the first person who classified the sectors, developed economic methods of say, income method, expenditure method, production method, and used them to calculate GDP of India. All right, so he was the first one, and he classified it in this way. So I'll just tell you what do we mean by agriculture and industry and services in India, and then we go ahead. So when we talk about agriculture in India, agriculture, it is distinguished into two parts. One is farming or cropping, which is the primary part of it. So one is crop farming, and second is allied activities, which will include forestry, fishing, dairying, and poultry. So this is our agriculture, crop farming, allied activities. And allied activities will be forestry, fishing, dairying, and poultry. For those of you who are used to national income concepts, we use production method while calculating this. All right, when we estimate this in India. And this is the method of estimating GVA, gross value added, in Indian context. All right. Then the second is industry. And in industry, we take mining and quarrying. All right, in industry we take mining and quarrying. Quarrying is stone quarrying. When you are extracting natural resources which are on the ground, so you don't have to dig up. Mines you have to dig up. All right, so you have an iron ore mine, but you will have a stone quarry. You will have a limestone quarry. You won't have a limestone mine. You understand that? But you will have a coal mine. So mining means you are digging up and extracting. Quarrying means you are extracting from the surface of the earth. All right. अब यहाँ एक बात का ख्याल रखोगे. In your geography NCERT kind of books, they put mining and quarrying as a part of primary activity or agriculture. That is because they consider mining and quarrying as only the extraction part. All right. But while estimating GDP of the country, we take mining and quarrying as not primary but secondary activity, industry, because we consider not only extraction but also refining of that commodity. तो जब आप कहते हैं mining of crude oil, in GDP calculation we take mining of crude oil and refining of crude oil. Do I believe I'm reaching you on this? So mining and quarrying will be one part of industry. The most important part of industry is manufacturing, production of commodities. Manufacturing means production of commodities. Manufacturing will mean production of commodities. Say when you produce this chair, this shirt, this board, that is called manufacturing. The most important part of secondary activities or industry will always be मैन्युफैक्चरिंग. जब इंडिया में भी हम लोग एस्टिमेट करते हैं, से इंडेक्स ऑफ इंडस्ट्रियल प्रोडक्शन इज यूज्ड इन इंडिया टू एस्टिमेट दीज एक्टिविटीज, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हैज द हाईएस्ट वेट इन दैट. सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को दिया जाता है बिकॉज द कंसर्न इज टू मेक श्योर that the manufacturing capacity of the country develops. All right, and then all right, then the next is electricity, gas and water supply. And then the next is construction. Electricity, gas and water supply, and then construction. So these make up for industrial sector in India. So if somebody says that the share of industries in India is 31%, then they are actually implying the share of these four sectors. All right, so if somebody says share of industries in India is 30%, 31%, these are the four sectors they are talking about. And remember, Dr. V.K.R.V. Rao qualified this schema when he was a member of National Income Committee. All right, the government formed a national. See, Professor Rao had been estimating India's national income since 1931. Like he started it in 1926. The first time he brought an estimate was 1932. The second time he brought an estimate was 1935. So he was quite used to estimating it. After independence, we created a National Income Committee. That National Income Committee, the chairperson was Professor P.C. Mahalanobis, and it had two more members, Professor Gadgil and Professor Rao. All right, these were the three members of National Income Committee. All right, Professor Gadgil, Professor Rao, and the chairperson was Professor P.C. Mahalanobis. This was Professor Rao's contribution as to which sector will be classified in which manner. All right, so he contributed this because he had maximum experience of actually estimating things. उनके पास सबसे ज़्यादा एक्सपीरियंस था कि एक्चुअल एस्टिमेट्स कैसे आते हैं. ऑल राइट, तो उनको ये जिम्मेदारी दी गई कि आप बताइए किस सेक्टर को कैसे क्लासिफाई करें. सो ही क्लासिफाइड इट लाइक दिस. Electricity, gas and water supply ideally could have been in services, but they were here talking about construction related to these activities, electricity generation units, water supply pipelines establishment, everything was considered and therefore they were taken as a part of industry. All right. And then The third part is services, three, which consists of trade, transport, hotels, communication, and broadcasting. Trade, transport, hotels, communication, and broadcasting. So remember, when I say trade, trade will mean internal trade, external trade. Internal trade like retailing, wholesaling. You understand that? Trade will mean all that. Retailers in the market, wholesalers in the market. And then external trade, importers, exporters. Trade will consist of that. When we say transport, transport consists of airways, waterways, roadways, and railways. All right, that is transport. And then hotels. Now, hotels will mean ranging from roadside hotels to five-star and seven-star hotels. All right, all that hotel, restaurant, all that business. And when we say communication, communication will mean post and telegraph. Communication will mean telephone. Communication will mean internet connectivity. All that will come under communication. And broadcasting will range from radio broadcasts to television broadcasts to cable television, dish antenna, OTT, all that comes under broadcasting. All right, so all sorts of broadcasting will be covered in that. So this becomes our first part of services. Services का मतलब क्या हुआ? Abstract things that generate value for us. अब समझिएगा ये बात. Services will always be abstract in nature. They will be unlike manufacturing. All right, they are not commodities. Services are, हिंदी में इसीलिए उसको सेवा वर्ड यूज किया जाता है. वस्तु, commodity, सेवा, services. All right, so services will mean abstract. For example, I'm teaching you. It's a service because you cannot see my teaching and you cannot touch my teaching, but you can feel upgraded, hopefully. So the idea is that this is a service that one receives then, that okay, somebody is doing something which I may not see or touch, but I can feel it. Similarly, healthcare. I may not see my healthcare improving and I don't touch my healthcare improving, but I definitely feel my healthcare is improving with the services I receive. Am I right or am I right? All right. Okay, let's see this then. So you write the next thing after that, you write next part, real estate, real estate, finance, and other private services. Real estate, finance, and other private services. Now see, sometimes business services word can also be written, so don't bother, it's the same thing. Real estate will actually mean, in layman terms, if I can use a term, it means property dealing. All right, that is what real estate means. That you have constructed something, now you want to sell it to people, so you sell it to them on a commission, and that is real estate business. All right, finance will mean banking, insurance, stock market, bonds, everything gets covered under finance. All right, pension funds, everything gets covered under finance. And other private services is a big draw. Other private services will include institutions like Next IAS. This is another private service. You understand that? Other private services will also include, say, the services given by industries with respect to say dealership networks. जैसे मारुति सुजुकी की एक dealership है, वो private service हो गई. Other private services can include beauty salons. It's a private service. All right, given scrap dealing, fruit selling on the road at times. That can be other private service. Other मतलब जो इनमें नहीं आता. All right, जो इन चीजों में नहीं आता और रह गया और private sector produce कर रहा है, that becomes other private service, which doesn't get covered in this, produced by private sector. That is other private service. Yes, yes. So food processing is manufacturing. All right, food processing is manufacturing because you are using food, say fruits, vegetables, etc., as a raw material and converting it into a finished good. All right, so food processing is always part of industry, manufacturing. All right, and then there is public administration, that is the ninth part. Public administration. Public administration is government services, law and order, defense, community services. Community services can include things like running an NGO, a non-government organization, or you are running something for the community, like say a community house that you have created, or a community kitchen that you have created. All that will be community services. जब आप एक पर्टिकुलर कम्युनिटी बेस्ड कुछ काम कर रहे हैं, ट्राइबल वेलफेयर के लिए कुछ कर रहे हैं, किसी जाति विशेष के वेलफेयर के लिए कुछ कर रहे हैं, फॉर सम पर्टिकुलर कास्ट यू आर वर्किंग फॉर देयर वेलफेयर, दे कैन बी टेकन एज कम्युनिटी सर्विसेज. And other government services. Other government services like a panchayat system, Zilla Parishad, these are government services. Or running a public park for people, ये government services हैं. All right, कि जो other government services हैं, they are not related to public administration and they are not related to community service. They are other government services. There can be corporate, a municipal corporation. It can be a Zilla Parishad. It can be a community. It can be a park that run by the government. All that can be other government services. तो ये हमारा डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन होता है और आप इसे याद रखेंगे एज इकोनॉमिक्स ऑप्शनल स्टूडेंट्स, क्योंकि आप इसके रेफरेंस पॉइंट्स देंगे अपने आंसर्स में. When you will write analyzing the answer of India's GDP, more contributed by services, less by manufacturing, you will have to use this knowledge to express it to the examiner कि देखो मैं पढ़कर आया हूँ कि इंडिया में कौन सा सेक्टर क्या है, और तभी मैं बता रहा हूँ कि अगर सर्विसेज में ये जीडीपी है, क्योंकि जब मैं एनालिसिस करूंगा आपके साथ, I will also teach you which sector in service is contributing how much, which sector in industry is contributing how much. So that kind of analysis can also be asked. Possibility is always there. All right, so we should know these. So first thing is we know these, that okay, this is my agriculture, industry, services together. All right, agriculture, industry, services together. Now, when you talk about, and this is how GDP is estimated in India. This is how GDP will be estimated in India. That is the basic idea of estimating GDP in India. Now, the important thing to keep in mind is that when we talk about how do we estimate GDP, and I'll teach you national income separately also. मुझे आप पे पूरा भरोसा है, बहुत लोग 12th भूल गए होंगे, तो मैं आपको पढ़ा दूंगा नेशनल इनकम. एक बार एक क्लास करेंगे उसके ऊपर, क्योंकि इकोनॉमिक सर्विसेज भी पूछता है और यूपीएससी ने कोई गारंटी नहीं दी नहीं पूछने की. So I will be teaching you the whole concept. Before I teach you macro, my first class on macro is always teaching you how do we calculate GDP, GNP and all that. All the rules. I'll revise with you. But right now you won't need it, so you relax. But for the time being, national income estimation that we do in India, that estimation is like this. एक ये GVA add होता है जो आप पढ़ते हैं, gross value added. और जो GDP आप पढ़ते हैं, gross domestic product, that is added by taking consumption, investment, गवर्नमेंट एक्सपेंडिचर एंड नेट एक्सपोर्ट्स. ऑलराइट, उनके डेटा लेकर और ऐड करके हम बोलते हैं दिस इज माय जीडीपी ऑफ द कंट्री. सो आई विल टीच यू दैट. यू विल हैव टू गिव मी सम टाइम. आई विल टीच यू दैट, बट दैट इज द आइडिया दैट व्हेन यू कैलकुलेट जीडीपी एट मार्केट प्राइस और अ ग्रॉस वैल्यू एडेड एट बेसिक प्राइस, हाउ डू वी गो अबाउट डूइंग दैट? सो whenever you study now about economic structure, first thing is this is the economic distribution, and based on that we have the structure. You write below that, okay, it's giving you a service of local self-government, no? Okay, absolutely different. So it's not necessary. I'm answering a question that how do we consider panchayat system as a part of services? Like it's unlike a banking as a service. It is unlike banking as a service, but it is a service nevertheless. So for every service, you don't need to be necessarily making profit. out of that. So you can be giving up a service to someone on behalf of being the governance responsibility, bearing the governance responsibility of the area. You can give services to someone as a non-government organization for non-profit purposes. You understand that? So whenever you provide any service to anyone, that's a service. All right. These other private services will also include people like barbers, doctors, lawyers. They all come under this other private services. Do I believe we are clear on till here? Now I take you, you write a heading below that. A government run educational institute is a part of government created services. It can be community service if it is a community institute. It may or may, okay, I'm asked a question that community services, will it mean activity done without charging money? Not necessarily. Community services can be done also by also charging money for it. You know, that is the idea here. We also charge money for it. All right. There is a question asked that did we have gas water supply in 1932? Why do we include in industrial sector? Imagine we didn't have an independent country in 1932, you know, but we were still counting its GDP. Interesting, isn't it? Modi, Balasai. All right. Okay, but don't forget that things evolve over a period of time. Just to give you a sincere answer, things evolve over a period of time. Self-help groups are community services. नहीं, पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन लॉ एंड ऑर्डर डिफेंस इन चीज़ों को करता है. पंचायत एक्चुअली पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को डायरेक्टली नहीं रिकॉर्डेड रहते हैं उसमें. पंचायत आर मोर लाइक सर्विंग थ्रू अदर पब्लिक सर्विसेज मीन्स. ऑलराइट, इलेक्टेड कैंडिडेट्स हैं वहां पे. ऑलराइट, companies in the manufacturing sector are still manufacturing, Vrinda, isn't it? In case you miss a screen or slide, don't worry, the recording will be uploaded within 12 hours. You can always see that. Don't worry at all. All right, let's see. I'll take a minute. I'm answering one and I'll take yours. Okay, I'm answering a question that if we don't include services which are not earning profit, how do we get the income that is earned in it? Because people working in it will get wages, and the enterprise can use some premise as rent, and the enterprise can take some loan from somebody and pay interest. So even if you're not working for profit, you will be paying wages, you will be doing expenditures on things, and that becomes the record keeping. Yes, yes. They are. They are. When I say public administration, it mainly covers the executive. All right. So whosoever is in the executive business. But I was just refraining from taking you there. Actually, what we do is we have again sub classifications of these. All right. That what all do we include in one place? What all do we include in another? You know, like one of your friend was asking that gas or water supply तो नहीं था 1932 में, या नहीं रहा होगा, तो कैसे ऐड हो रहा था? धीरे धीरे इवॉल्व करती हैं ये चीजें. Understand that. It's not that if it was not in 1932, people wouldn't consider that. Gradually things evolve and you consider, okay, how should I include this? Also remember, water supply doesn't have to be piped water supply. Understand it like that. And combustible engine was invented 60 years or 55 years before 1932. So there was crude oil and there were gas reserves which were being talked about in the world in 1922-23. चैट जीपीटी के आने से बहुत पहले जनरेटिव एआई था, पर हमारे जो 50 साल बाद के जनरेशन होंगे ना, the generation 50 years later, 100 years later, they will think our generation started with generative AI through chat GPT. Understand that? You know, but there has been generative AI working in the global system for 25 odd years. The research has been going on. Nano fertilizer is becoming a reality today. But nanotechnology is something that has been going on for 50 odd years. So remember, technologies always remain and people do scientific evaluation based on that. All right. Okay. Yes. See, when you talk agriculture, you're talking about the raw produce. When you are packaging the agricultural product, then you are adding a value to it. That value addition is done by packaging industry. Somebody will have to manufacture those packets. Somebody will have to give the service of packaging. You understand that? So packaging is a service. packet manufacturing is industry, and product that agriculture has produced is agriculture. All right, that kind of a thing. That is how you do the value added method, no? That at each level you calculate how much has been the value added. So the packaging industry will not, or packaging service provider will not consider the agricultural product as value added. That is something that they received, and they added value worth only the packaging idea. All right. देखो, ये बहुत सारे कंट्रीज में डिस्कशन शुरू हो गई थी अबाउट हाउ टू एस्टिमेट जीडीपी वे बैक इन 1860s. Gradually, it started picking up, and Professor Rao was one person who was scientifically trained in how to do estimations. Remember one more thing, the methods we use today in the world for estimating GDP and all are based on System of National Income Accounting, SNA. Now, SNA came into picture only in 1953. फर्स्ट मीटिंग ऑफ सिस्टम ऑफ, ये जो एसएनए का नाम लिया मैंने, द नेम दैट आई टुक, एसएनए, दिस सिस्टम ऑफ नेशनल इनकम अकाउंट्स इज अ यूनाइटेड नेशंस बॉडी which was established in 1953. All UN members are a participant here, and they determine what will be the rules and regulations about GDP calculation. और वो एक यूनिवर्सल रूल सेट करते हैं और फिर सभी कंट्रीज उस यूनिवर्सल रूल को मानती हैं. All right, this SNA decides a universal rule, and then every country accepts that universal rule. All right, but then that happened only in 1953. Before that, every country was having its own ideas, developing its own methods, and they were initial days. Nobody knew exactly how things will pan out. All right, whatever human history you see today is a big history that has been created in last 100 years a lot. अगर तुम 100 साल पहले की दुनिया में और आप देखें तो हमें समझ ही नहीं आएगी कि हमारी दुनिया थी, वो इतनी अलग थी. कैन यू इमेजिन 27% of America's GDP contributed by agriculture till as late as 1926? 27%, mind you, contributed by agriculture. And that was those days, 100 years back. Americans not having a public lighting system, till as late as 1947. कैंडेसेंट बल्ब्स यूज नहीं होते थे, कैंडल्स होते थे स्ट्रीट लाइट्स के नाम पे, और एक कैंडल लाइटर होते थे. उनका काम ही यही था, वो रोज जाएंगे, सारे लैंप्स को स्विच ऑन करेंगे, मतलब कैंडल ऑन करेंगे, और एवरीडे मॉर्निंग आके उसे ऑफ करेंगे, उसमें लैंप में ऑयल डालेंगे. ये इनका काम होता था. It was only in 1947 in America, and I say America because they have been the number one country for some time now. So it was only in 1947 in America that they developed a public lighting system working on incandescent bulbs. जैसे स्विच चलाओ लाइट जल जाएगी और स्विच बंद करो लाइट ऑफ हो जाएगी. और हमारी तो हालत ही अलग थी, आपको पता ही है, हम तो 20 साल पहले भी कुछ ऐसे ही जीवन जी रहे थे. सो दिस इज, अभी भी बहुत सारे छोटे शहर हैं हमारे जो ऐसा ही जीवन जीते हैं, पब्लिक लाइटिंग के एब्सेंस है ऑलमोस्ट. So we have become a very different world in the last 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 odd years compared to what we used to be. तो इसीलिए जब तुम इन चीज़ों को पढ़ते हो ना, कि एस्टिमेशन कैसे होता था, सोचते कैसे थे, मैं तुम्हें कुछ ज़्यादा एक्साइटिंग बताता हूँ जो मुझे एक्साइट करता है. नॉट नेसेसरली इट शुड एक्साइट यू, बट इट यूज टू एक्साइट मी ऑलवेज, एंड इट स्टिल एक्साइट्स मी. इमेजिन VK RV Rao working in 1930s, no background about SNA, no idea about how things have to be done, and then finding out methodologies as to how to estimate each income in each different sector. That, if you ask me, is more exciting. That somebody has had the wisdom to actually try doing that. You understand that? So if you want to get excited, I believe get excited by that. कि क्या दिमाग रहा होगा कि ये सोच पा रहे थे वो, जब बाकी के लोग जानते ही नहीं थे कि नेशनल इनकम नाम की कोई चीज एस्टिमेट भी की जा सकती है. He was like that. All right. Now you give a heading. You write economic structure of India in 1947. Economic structure of India in 1947. Okay, if government produces scooters, it is still manufacturing, Nandita. Social media and OTTs under service sector. Right, Ankit? No, you don't need to refer any book for the time being, Janvi. You keep listening to me. I'll be very happy if you guys just keep following what I'm asking you to do. Okay, there's another question. Why Britishers didn't attempt estimating our national income? It was not that they didn't attempt, but important thing is they were not interested. They were not bothered in estimating our GDP, our national income, because they knew they will be exposed by that. That is why you will see most of the Indians trying to achieve this. They were trying to feed. Data is always enemy of people who want to hide. So those who want to hide, always try hiding from data. जैसे अभी आप मुझे बोलो कि सर आप मोटे हो, मैं बोलूं मैं फिट हूं, इसका फैसला तो मेरे वजन मशीन पे चढ़ने पे ही होगा। तो इससे बचने का मेरा तरीका क्या है, मैं वजन मशीन ही ना आने दूं यहाँ। I won't let the weighing machine come in, and if it comes, I question the credibility of the weighing machine itself. So many people who try hiding data do that. All right, they say no, 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 the method is not correct. Anyways, now when we talk about Indian economy at the time of independence and the economic structure, we had heavily tilted economic structure in the favor of agriculture. All right, so it was like this, that if you take 19, so if I take agriculture, industry, services, and I take 1951 because that is the census data we used, 53.1% was agriculture. So more than half of India's GDP was coming from agriculture. More than half of India's GDP was coming from agriculture. And 17.8% was industry, 29.1% was services. This is how we were distributed. And this was percentage share in GDP. All right, 1951, percentage share in GDP. And another was percentage share in labor force. अब एक बात यहाँ बता रहा हूं आपको, एम्प्लॉयमेंट पढ़ाते हुए ये ज्यादा क्लियर कर दूंगा, but just keep it in mind. Whenever we use the word labor force, whenever you see this used, it means all people in the age group 15 to 59 who are working or actively looking for work. All right, that is how we define labor force. All those people in the age group 15 to 59 who are working or actively looking for work, जो या तो काम कर रहे हैं या काम ढूंढ रहे हैं. All right, वो लेबर फोर्स के पार्ट है. जैसे आप अभी काम नहीं कर रहे लेकिन आप काम ढूंढ रहे हो, आप एक एग्जाम की तैयारी कर रहे हो, सो यू बिकम द पार्ट ऑफ लेबर फोर्स. All right, so either they are working or they are looking for work. They become the part of labor force. And whenever you see the term workforce, these are all people in age group 15 to 59 who are working in the economy. All people in the age group 15 to 59 who are working in the economy. All right? जो काम कर रहे हैं वो वर्कफोर्स में, और जो काम कर रहे हैं साथ में काम करना चाहते वाले लोग भी लेबर फोर्स में. मैं कुछ बोलता हूं, आप बताना आप अग्री करोगे या नहीं. इफ आई से दैट लेबर फोर्स माइनस वर्क फोर्स रिप्रेजेंट्स पीपल who are involuntarily unemployed, those who want to work but are not getting work. You understand that? So whenever they ask you about labor force minus workforce, these are people who are involuntarily मतलब मर्जी के बिना, involuntarily unemployed. Labor force minus workforce are people who are involuntarily unemployed. And remember, if somebody is voluntarily unemployed, अगर कोई काम करना ही नहीं चाहते तो वो लेबर फोर्स का पार्ट नहीं होते. All right, if I am not willing to work at the given wage rate, then I am not a part of labor force. That is why we said labor force is all people in this age group who are working or actively looking for work. Do I believe I reach you on this? Another thing I'm telling you. So, all the people in the age group 15 to 59 minus labor force will be voluntarily unemployed. If I take total population in the working age group, working age is 15 to 59. So if I take total population in the working age group minus those who are willing to be, those who are in the labor force, तो बच गए कौन जो काम नहीं करना चाहते? Do I believe you understand that? So please keep that also in mind, that total working age population minus labor force are voluntarily unemployed. Total working age population minus labor force are people who are voluntarily unemployed. And then, you know, when you take the ratio of labor force divided by total working age population, you actually get the labor force participation rate. And if that is very low, that becomes worrying, because it means there are so many who are voluntarily not willing to work in the system. एक एग्जाम्पल बोलता हूं, अगर आप लेबर फोर्स लेते हैं न्यूमरेटर में और डिनोमिनेटर में लेते हैं टोटल पॉपुलेशन, और आपको नंबर मिलता है 21%, 0.21, it shows what 79% people in that particular age group are not even willing to work in the economy. That then becomes worrying. That is the labor force participation rate of women found in many cases in India. Thankfully, it has improved now in the last 3-4 years, but in 2019 it was found to be 21%. Even now it is found to be around 26%, which is still very low. You understand that? So this is the challenge that you face. All right, I can believe you are okay till this. आप ये definition समझते हैं, क्योंकि अब इसके साथ मैं आपसे बात करूंगा इस table की. So percentage share in labor force is what we are talking. That is, in this sector they are either working or they are looking for work. In that case, we see that 73% people in agriculture, 9.8% in industry. You can write 10%, अगर तुम्हें approximations भी याद हैं, हमारे लिए काफी है वो. 9.8% in industry and 17.2% in services. All right, this is the percentage share in labor force that we had. So what it showed was predominant agricultural theme. 3/4 of labor force in agriculture, half of GDP coming from agriculture. You see that? And industry was the least developed. Lesser number of workers in industry and lesser GDP contribution by industry, reflecting the British dominance in India, how Britishers deindustrialized us. ये उसका एक एग्जाम्पल है कि ब्रिटिशर्स ने हमारे यहाँ इंडस्ट्रीज को ग्रो नहीं होने दिया, and therefore the development of industry was much limited compared to the development of services even. Now, why are we debating it or discussing it? It had a lot of impact on India later on. तुम आज भी देखो, services are more dominant than industries in India because we were never trained to be an industrialized society. When was the world? Okay, think like this. So what is Simon Kuznets method or structural growth theory? ये मैं आपको सिखाऊंगा अभी आगे चल के डेवलपमेंट थ्योरी में, बट आई एम श्योर मेनी ऑफ यू वुड हैव रेड इट. सो साइमन कुजनेट्स स्ट्रक्चरल ग्रोथ थ्योरी इज दैट इनिशियली द इकोनॉमीज विल हैव डोमिनेंस ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर, and that will be followed by dominance of industry and then services. So when did the dominance of industry happen in global system? कब वो समय आया global system में जब industries dominant होने लगी? आप सोच के देखिए, after first industrial revolution. So agriculture remained dominant till kind of 1750 AD. You understand that? And then, and in fact, agriculture was dominant till almost 19th century in many countries. United States में agriculture would contribute more than 50% of GDP till as late as 1892. Even though by 1890s America was a significantly developed manufacturing nation, but still agriculture was contributing more than 50%. 1872, I'm so sorry, 1872. तो तो 1872 तक यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में एग्रीकल्चर कंट्रीब्यूट करता था हाफ से ज्यादा। इनफैक्ट आप में से कुछ लोगों ने इंटरनेशनल इकोनॉमिक्स की कुछ किताब पढ़ी होंगी कभी कभी, जहां वो इंग्लैंड को वाइन बेचता हुआ और अमेरिका को वीट बेचता हुआ दिखाते थे। You know that England would be selling wine and America would be selling wheat, showing that England was the industrialized nation and America was the agricultural nation. These are those which are based on those old theories that developed. तो ये एक situation था something like 1870s 80s तक. Then of course light consumer goods develop. Light consumer goods like shoes, like footwear, clothes, maybe small things like furniture. These are light consumer goods. This was 1770s, 80s, 90s. Gradually, complex consumer goods came in. Complex consumer goods like wristwatch, say clocks, spectacles. These are complex consumer goods. Gradually developing into vehicles. ये complex consumer goods हैं. All right. और जब complex consumer good आए, साथ में demand बढ़ने लगा चीजों का. The complex consumer goods came in and the demand was rising for things. That rising demand created the requirement of faster production, and the requirement of mass production meant development of capital goods, machines. So machines to produce consumer goods. तो आप हैंडलूम से पावरलूम पे आ गए और ये मास स्केल पे यूज होने लगा। अब धीरे धीरे पॉपुलेशन और बढ़ा। Gradually the population was rising more. More demand was happening. You needed to produce even more. Now you needed more machines. How do you create more machines? By using machines to produce machines, large capital goods. You understand that? So this was theory of development, that it started with agriculture, then light consumer goods, then complex consumer goods, then light capital goods, then big capital goods. And now when you develop big capital goods or light capital goods, you needed to establish factories, you needed new technology, then you needed funding, transportation, so banking, insurance, transportation, all this started growing. अब एक बात समझना इसमें, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि 1750 के पहले बैंकिंग या इंश्योरेंस था ही नहीं। यह भी नहीं मतलब है कि ट्रेड या ट्रांसपोर्ट नहीं था, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग नहीं थी। समझाना ये चाह रहा हूं, बिफोर 1750 देयर वाज डोमिनेंस ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर and these other activities like industries and services were less predominant. And by 1750s and thereafter, industries became dominant, agriculture etc became less dominant. आज आप गांव जाते हैं हमारे, तो आप देखेंगे कि फार्मिंग से ज्यादा इनकम बहुत लोग कमा रहे हैं अपने ट्रक चलवा के, बस चलवा के, टेम्पो चलवा के। बहुत लोग इनकम कमा रहे हैं एजुकेशन के थ्रू, कुछ लोग इनकम कमा रहे हैं हेल्थ केयर के थ्रू। तो ये क्या बताता है? डाइवर्सिफिकेशन ऑफ इनकम सोर्स इन रूरल एरिया। एग्रीकल्चर में बी द डोमिनेंट सोर्स ऑफ ऑक्यूपेशन, बट एग्रीकल्चर मे नॉट रिमेन द डोमिनेंट सोर्स ऑफ इनकम। डू आई रीच यू ऑन दिस लास्ट लाइन? All right. So the moral of the story is then that we are evaluating where was India in all this theory. So we realized that India was somewhere in the primitive stage where agriculture was still playing a dominant role, but surprisingly services were the interesting link, and industries were the missing part. Normally कोई देश और होता हमारी जगह तो ये dominant होना चाहिए था और ये कम होना चाहिए था। हम उल्टा कर रहे थे तब से ही, क्योंकि ब्रिटिशर्स ने वो कल्चर पुट किया। ब्रिटिशर्स ने हमारे यहाँ कुछ टिपिकल कल्चर पुट किए हैं, जैसे करप्शन इन गवर्नमेंट। हम उसे ग्रांटेड लेते हैं, वी एक्सेप्ट इट, इमेजिन सो नॉर्मली। हम किसी गवर्नमेंट ऑफिस गए, किसी ने बोला पैसा दो तो तुम्हारा लाइसेंस बना देंगे, पैसा दो तो तुम्हारा घर रजिस्टर कर देंगे। हम बिना चिंता के पैसा निकाल के देते हैं, हाँ पैसा तो जरूरी है तो देना ही चाहिए। आप सोच के देखिए, हमने ग्रांटेड ले रखा है कि चोरी होनी चाहिए, भाई कैसे नहीं होगी? जो चोर है उन्होंने भी ग्रांटेड ले रखा है, मैं क्यों ना करूं? और चूंकि हम हमारी इकोनॉमी में हैं तो हमें लगता है ये नॉर्मल है, बट ये नॉर्मल नहीं है। इट्स नॉट नॉर्मल दैट पीपल हैव टू बी करप्ट। वी हैव मेड इट नॉर्मल बिकॉज द ब्रिटिशर्स ट्रेन्ड अस टू बी दैट। ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट वाज अ ट्रांजैक्टरी गवर्नमेंट इन इंडिया। वो ट्रांजैक्शंस करते थे, उन्होंने अपने ऑफिसर्स को छूट दे रखी थी, आप चोरी कर सकते हैं और उसके बाद इस पैसे को इंग्लैंड भेज सकते हैं। तो ये लॉर्ड क्लाइव के समय से शुरू हो गई ऐसी हरकत। It kind of got established, people started accepting it. तो ये समझिए, इनइक्वालिटी हमने एक्सेप्ट कर रखा है। आप सोच के देखिए, ये आपको जब डेवलपमेंट थ्योरी में इंक्लूजन पढ़ाऊंगा तो वहां भी बात करूंगा, बट थिंक in our country we are so normal, no? If somebody says I want good water supply, I want good electricity, I want good policing in my area, the person is advised then go and live in the area where the rich people live. हम कितने कैजुअली एडवाइस कर देते हैं, अरे ये सारा कुछ चाहिए तो वो फिर उस एरिया में जाओ जहां अमीर लोग रहते हैं, यहां तो इतना ही मिलेगा. But electricity, water supply, policing, these are things provided by government, no? But we accept that yes, government will provide things for the rich. Poors can manage on their own. Policing के poors को क्या जरूरत, चोरी करेगा कौन, कुछ है ही नहीं उनके पास. Sarcastic होके बोल रहा हूँ, notes मत बना लेना. So the point I'm trying to drive home is that few things are historically or legacy-wise internalized. Now I'm giving you a write-up. मैं आपको कुछ चीजें लिखवा रहा हूँ इन बातों पे, जो मैंने बोला उनमें से भी कुछ बातें वो भी है. The write-up I'm giving you is the analysis of both income structure and occupational structure at the time of independence. In 2002 past year papers, they had asked this question. All right. So analysis of this data that I have given you is what I'm giving you. So I'll make you write few points. Yes, yes, please. Yeah. So you can all, the normal thing, you can go out and tell them. Try finding a method if you can be helped. Because if I leave the class, the class will get over. So can this help? Check if this helps. Hence the assumption I said, check if this helps. Check if it does. Otherwise, we will try finding something. Okay. The heading is that we are talking about, the heading is we are talking about economic structure in India at the time of independence. Workforce is all those people who have found work. Okay, you got my answer. Perfect. Okay. One question is, how did USA reduce its agricultural share? By improving its manufacturing, actually. Americans gradually became a manufacturing nation. They focused on educating their people. They focused on setting universities, training their people. They focused on basic infrastructure development, which all promoted manufacturing gradually, and they focused on technical training. So it's not that Americans became a manufacturing centered system automatically. It took time for them to become one. All right. Okay. Yes, yes. Oh, you mean today, right? See, it kind of works. All right. Okay. अच्छा ठीक है, as long as it solves the issue. Okay, let's see this. I'm answering a question that Americans are not a manufacturing country anymore, and how do they survive then? See, there are two factors. One is you don't have to manufacture on your own to survive, especially if you can pay for what others are producing. And not only pay, if you are assured, like who are the manufacturers who supply to Americans? So they are South Koreans, and they are Chinese, and they are Taiwan, and so on. So Americans have developed an ecosystem where they say that we will pay money and you give it to us. Now the changing globalization might change that structure with China plus one kind of coming into picture. But and then how can Americans pay so much money? Because the world is willing to hold dollar. So Americans can sometimes just print their way through. That they print dollar and the world holds it and they can meet their expenses. All right. Also remember, if I have the expertise to create enough income for myself, then I can afford not having a manufacturer. Like say, many countries don't have an agricultural base today. You understand that? But they import their agricultural goods, and especially from assured sources. They know that these countries can't survive without our imports. All right. Like say, pulses production done in North Africa. Ghana is a big producer. Northwest Africa, I mean. So Ghana is a big producer. Niger is a big producer. I don't know what Niger will do now after the coup that they have had, but Niger used to be a big producer of these. So ये जो प्रोडक्शन था, ये यूरोपियंस ने डेवलप किया यहाँ कि आप बने मेरे हिंटरलैंड. You produce it for me and we'll buy it from you. And the countries remain backward, so they don't even resist. They say, okay, we'll produce. Similarly, Chinese kept selling to the Americans, becoming rich. If India gets an opportunity, India will do that. Maybe the challenge will arise when all of us become that rich. But even that I can foresee, then the machines do the work. That is the direction in which the Occidentals are taking. They know that their people are becoming less. So they say, okay, because I remember 20 years before ago, egg is on my face. गलत मैं साबित हुआ हूँ. But 20 साल पहले मैं एक रिसर्च पेपर लिख रहा था दिल्ली स्कूल ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स में, जहाँ मैंने ये लिखा था कि एक दिन तो उनको हमारे सहारे रहना ही पड़ेगा, क्योंकि लोग तो हमारे ही पास हैं. But now with automation, they are changing that structure. They don't need our labor after a point. You see that? So the world changes in that manner. All right, then you write in this first point. You keep writing it point wise. What I'm making you write is analysis of economic structure. Analysis of economic structure at the time of independence. And you write first point in that agriculture was the dominant activity. Agriculture was the dominant activity in terms of both income, in terms of both income structure, both income structure and occupational structure. Occupational structure. Full stop. This was because British rule did not encourage industrial development and completely discouraged modern industries, completely discouraged modern industries like chemical industries, comma, refineries. Refineries, I believe all of us understand, where you take the ore and refine it. So refineries, comma, heavy industries. Heavy industries are those which need large scale investment. All right, they are heavy industries. For example, industries making, say, automobile, industries making big cement mixers, industries making industrial rollers. ऑल राइट, तो जो बहुत ज़्यादा इन्वेस्टमेंट ढूंढते हैं, जिनमें आप बहुत पैसे लगाते हो, उन्हें कहा जाता है heavy industries. Heavy electricals is another example. For example, making big transformers for electricity. We were completely deprived. हमारे यहाँ ऐसी कोई चीज़ का प्रोडक्शन नहीं होता था. All right. In the same thing, you write, agriculture was backward. Agriculture was backward. And why do we say agriculture was backward? Think, because imagine half of the GDP coming from agriculture, 3/4 of the people in agriculture, and we still didn't have enough money, enough food to feed ourselves. तो वो बैकवर्डनेस है कि आधी जीडीपी एग्रीकल्चर से आ रही है, 3/4 लोग काम कर रहे हैं और खाना बाहर से लाना पड़ रहा है. तो हमारा एग्रीकल्चर नहीं था प्रोडक्टिव. So that was backwardness of agriculture. So backwardness, agriculture was backward because of low level of use of modern equipment, low level of use of modern equipment, comma, absence of chemical fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, comma, poor technological efficiency, poor technological efficiency. Now, when we use the term poor technological efficiency, it means some of us were still using wooden plows. A wooden plow यूरोप में 18th सेंचुरी में बंद हो गए थे, पर भारत में बहुत सारे किसान अभी भी लकड़ी का हल चला रहे थे. आयरन हल नहीं था उसका. So there was no iron plow, there were wooden plow being used, outdated technology. Nobody had heard of tractors and all. I might have told you, some of you, this story earlier also. When I was doing my PhD, मेरी PhD बाहर कर ली मैंने गलती से जाकर वहाँ. तो जब मैं अपनी PhD कर रहा था, there was an incident where I had to go and meet a farmer. And when I went to see the farmer, my mindset was, okay, the farmer will come the way we see it. Okay, I was expecting him to be a little more modern, expecting that it's in US. So when we were taken there to meet the farmer, there was only one person over there sitting on his car's bonnet, and he was using his laptop working on it. So I was waiting, sitting along, thinking that, okay, now the farmer will come. This fellow, after 10 minutes, walks up to me and introduces himself and says, "You were supposed to see me." Then I realized that, okay, he is the farmer. you know and then I asked him, I said, okay, my first question is that what exactly were you doing on your laptop right now? Because coming from the place I come from, farmers are not expected to use laptop. And mind you, I am talking even 24 years back. मैं 1999 की बात कर रहा हूँ. I was in my second, third year of my PhD. So, makes me sound an old man, which I have become. So now, this fellow says that I was using my laptop to find out the cheapest source of irrigation near me, and the nearby satellite connectivity was helping me in finding out that which place will give me the cheapest irrigation plus the fastest seed. Then I realized this is modern agriculture. मैं तो ट्रैक्टर को समझता था कि ट्रैक्टर यूज कर लिया तो मॉडर्न हो गए. So they are doing agriculture at a very different level. They have scientifically trained their farmers. They have only 1% people in agriculture, and these 1% people are wonderfully educated in what they are doing. So productivity becomes a factor here. जब आप अच्छी टेक्निक यूज करते हैं, मॉडर्न इक्विपमेंट्स यूज करते हैं, तो आपके प्रोडक्शन करने की कैपेसिटी बढ़ जाती है. Understand it like that. All right. So unless that is not happening, the production capacity will remain weak. And that was the case in India. So you write in that, could you tell me the last line you wrote? Yeah, coefficient. Absence of, after a comma, absence of mechanization, 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 etc., along with dominant practice of monoculture This is only one crop in the entire year. That is dominance of monoculture. Only one crop in the entire year. पूरे साल भर में एक क्रॉप ग्रो करते थे. जैसे अगर पैडी ग्रो किया तो 8-10 महीने पैडी ही होगा. All right, nothing else will be grown. That is monoculture. Please understand, I'll teach you in agriculture, I'll introduce it again. When you hear the word monoculture, it means only one crop in the entire year. When you hear the word monocropping, it means growing the same crop year after year. I hope the distinction is understood. अगर मैं हर साल राबी सीजन में वीट और खरीफ सीजन में पैडी ग्रो करता हूं तो मैं मोनोक्रॉपिंग कर रहा हूं. All right? If I'm growing the same crop year after year, I can be doing 2 crops in a year. So that is not monoculture. It's possible I can grow wheat in the Rabi season. I can use the terms Rabi and Kharif. Rabi means the winter season of crops, when you sow during September, October, and you harvest during March, April. And Kharif is the summer season. You sow during May, June, and you harvest during September, October. All right, that is Rabi and Kharif. तो अगर मैं Rabi season में हर साल wheat grow कर देता हूँ और Kharif season में हर साल rice, every year I grow rice in Kharif and wheat in Rabi, I am doing monocropping. but that is not monoculture because I am growing more than one crop. Do I breach you on this? You understand that? Monoculture means year after year, I am growing only one crop. That one crop may differ from one year. One year I grow wheat, another year I grow pulses, but only one crop in the whole year. Now imagine 80% of gross cropped area of India, 80% of gross cropped area in India in 1951 was practicing monoculture. 80% of gross cropped area in India was practicing monoculture. I will teach you why India grew in service but lagged behind in manufacturing. You wait on that. I will be talking to you on that. Unemployment is involuntary, which is counted, Pratibha, which we talk in public domain. Yes, lack of skilled workers was a reason, Venkatesh. You're right. No. There is a question that Ved Prakash writes. He says, can't we say that the dominance of each sector is cyclical, like Indus Valley was dominant and then came other groups? Indus Valley was not an industrialized structure. Be careful there. Humans had not evolved to develop industries in those days, nor services. Indus Valley also had the great granary, suggesting the dominance of agriculture. You understand that? So the human cycle of evolution has been, at least the recorded history that we know. If we don't know something, I don't know, But whatever we know that humans have never had an industrial prowess which matches the industrial prowess we had post the first industrial revolution. कोई remains भी नहीं मिले. Yes, it has been linear in nature. All right. Now coming to this, I used a term, I am explaining it. I used the term gross cropped area. All right, मैंने एक term use किया that 80% of gross cropped area in India used to practice monoculture in 1951. मैं आपको explain कर रहा हूं कि ये gross cropped area का मतलब क्या होता है. देखो, suppose this is a village and suppose these are land areas, each 1 acre. 1 acre land, and say there are 3 such land area in the village. Now the net cropped area is this 3 acre. जो net cropped area है वो 3 एकड़ है. जो gross cropped area है उसे calculate किया जाता है like this. The gross cropped area is calculated like this. Suppose this person cultivates kharif crop and rabi crop. This person cultivates kharif, rabi and zaid crops. All right, I hope you have heard zaid, ZAID, sown during March, April, harvested during June, July, that kind of things. Watermelon is the best and most famous example of a zaid crop. And suppose this person grows only a kharif crop. Now, the gross cropped area will be 1 acre cultivated twice in the year, plus 1 acre cultivated thrice in the year, plus 1 acre cultivated once in the year. Do I reach you on this? 1 acre cultivated twice in the year, 1 acre cultivated thrice in the year, and 1 acre cultivated once in the year. You add all that, the total area becomes 6 acre. I'm repeating myself again in case you missed something. I'm saying that when it comes to calculating gross cropped area, we don't only calculate the total area cultivated, we actually calculate total crops cultivated into the area cultivated. It's like 2 crops, तो हम मानते हैं साल भर में 2 एकड़ कल्टीवेट हुआ. 3 crops, तो हम मानते हैं साल भर में 3 एकड़ कल्टीवेट हुआ. Do I reach you on this? So 2 crops, 2 acre cultivated. 3 crops, 3 acre cultivated. 1 crop, 1 acre cultivated. So in that case, the gross cropped area becomes 2 plus 3 plus 1, that is 6 acre cultivated. So that is how every country calculates itself, because obviously the land area is not only the net cropped area, the land area will always be the gross cropped area that we talk about. हाँ, कभी कभी कुछ चीजों के लिए net cropped area का use होता है, जैसे area under assured irrigation. अगर मुझे ये चेक करना है मेरे कितने एरिया में इरिगेशन फैसिलिटी पक्का पक्का है, तो ग्रॉस क्रॉप्ड एरिया से बेहतर डेटा मिलता है अगर मैं नेट क्रॉप्ड एरिया लूँ। तो आउट ऑफ टोटल एरिया दैट आई हैव, हाउ मच एरिया इज कवर्ड विथ assured irrigation, that is my net cropped area plays a role. But normally for 90% of agricultural data, maybe 95, we use the gross cropped area system. So I again repeat, 80% of gross cropped area in India was doing monoculture. Now that will tell you the low productivity, that I have the land but I'm not cultivating it. And why were we doing it? A, we were not trained. B, even today you will see in many cases, we live in a low level equilibrium. Subsistence economy, less aspiration. ऑलराइट, ये फिर कल्चरल एट्रीब्यूट भी हैं, सोशल एट्रीब्यूट भी हैं जो हमने इनहेरिट किया ब्रिटिश टाइम पीरियड से या उसके पहले से. सो आई टेल यू व्हाट आई मीन. सब्सिस्टेंस इकोनॉमी का मतलब क्या हुआ? आई एम प्रोड्यूसिंग ओनली फॉर सेल्फ कंजम्पशन. But obviously, I don't produce for self-consumption. You know what happens in a subsistence economy? Barter system dominates, and people don't do any surplus activity. For example, तुमने चावल बना लिया, मतलब ग्रो कर लिया, इन्होंने दाल ग्रो कर लिया, मैंने मछली पकड़ ली, तीनों बैठ के खा पी के सो गए. You know, that's subsistence. That you know, we are not bothered about creating a surplus, creating an extra, doing saving and investment. That is commercialization. That when you commercialize, then you go for an extra. Now, Indian economy was a typical subsistence economy. People were living for self-consumption. There was no information also that how they could improve. So in that case, majority of production would be taken away by zamindar. So in that case, nobody had any incentive to produce more. So that was the training with which we had developed. Complete illiteracy. जब हमने कहा ना मॉडर्न इक्विपमेंट मिसिंग था, मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजी मिसिंग थी, क्योंकि लिटरेसी ही मिसिंग थी. So nobody knew how to utilize it. So this was the socio-cultural scenario of India, which meant that we were practicing agriculture, but agriculture was much behind the curve. आज भी तुम गांव जाओ, मुझे अपना गांव याद आ रहा है इसलिए मैं स्माइल कर रहा हूँ. छोटा सा है बिहार में एक मेरा गांव. तो ये आज भी तुम गांव जाओ तो तुम वहां देखोगे कि बहुत लोग तुम्हें मिलेंगे जो कुछ नहीं करके संतुष्ट हैं. They are happy doing nothing. They can talk to you about every event. They will talk as if they are the next advisor to Putin. वो ऐसे बातचीत करेंगे तुमसे जैसे पुतिन को तो ये करना चाहिए था, ये सारी बातचीत होगी. पर आप उनसे पूछे आप क्या काम करें, कोई खास नहीं. तो 2-4 बीघा की जमीन है या किसी के पास, तो वो भी ठीक से नहीं है, पर कुछ इनकम का सोर्स है, उससे जीवन चल रहा है, इसमें वो खुश हैं. दैट्स कॉल्ड लो लेवल इक्विलिब्रियम. दैट आई वोंट इवन एस्पायर टू ग्रो. हाउ विल यू मेक मी ग्रो? मैं एस्पायर करूंगा तब तो मुझे डेवलप करोगे. एस्पायर ही नहीं करूंगा, तुम बोलते हो चलो ये काम करते हैं, क्या जरूरत है? आप ये मजाक नहीं, सीरियसली मुझे हंसी आती है इस बात पे. अभी कुछ दिन पहले मैं अपने गांव गया था, 3-4 हफ्ते पहले, 5 हफ्ते पहले. एंड आई वाज टॉकिंग टू वन ऑफ द पर्सन्स. कुछ बात हुई, उन्होंने पूछा तुम्हारा दिन कैसा बीतता है. तो मैंने उनको ऐसे ही बताया कि मेरा दिन भर का ये रहता है शेड्यूल. आई डू लाइक दिस, आई गो वर्क लाइक दिस. तो जब उन्हें पता चला कि मेरा 13-14 घंटे का वर्क शेड्यूल है, दैट आई वर्क 13-14 आवर्स इन अ डे, ही लुक्ड एट मी विद अ लॉट ऑफ पैथेटिक एक्सप्रेशन, एंड ही सेड, तुम्हारा तो जीवन बड़ा कष्ट वाला है. हंसने की बात ये नहीं है, हंसने की बात ये है, द पॉइंट टू लाफ इज दिस पर्सन इज सर्वाइविंग ऑन द मनी आई सेंड टू हिम. एंड इमेजिन द इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग, ही इज पिटिंग मी. वो मेरे बारे में दया भाव, और जेन्युइन थे, मेरे बहुत अच्छे दोस्त हैं. वो गांव में ही रह गए, वहीं पले बढ़े, प्रजाति उनकी अलग है, तो वो अलग तरह से बात सोचते हैं, लेकिन दोस्ती हमारी बनी रहती है. लेकिन मुझे आश्चर्य लगा कि ये मुझ पर दया दिखा रहे हैं, और अगर मैं काम करना छोड़ दूं तो इनकी हालत अवस्था खराब होने की अवस्था है. Because then I won't be able to do things that I'm able to do for him right now. तो ये हमारे लो लेवल इक्विलिब्रियम के एग्जाम्पल्स हैं, where people are not bothered about not doing anything. They're happy that, okay, I'm not doing anything. Those who are doing it is their problem. India had a predominance of this culture, that people would be in low level equilibrium. When you are in a low level equilibrium, monoculture is very normal. That you don't want the crops to grow faster, you don't want the new techniques to come in, you're okay with what you have. Now, metaphysically it sounds great. आप में से कुछ लोगों को भी ये ग्रेट साउंड, हाँ सर कितने अच्छा तो जीवन है, कोई एस्पिरेशन ही नहीं है. अभी इसलिए ऐसा सोच पा रहे हो क्योंकि अच्छे कपड़े पहने हो, पेट भरा हुआ है, मतलब शायद अभी खाली हो गया हो, 2 घंटे से मैं बोल रहा हूँ, लेकिन वैसे भरा रहता है. तो तुम्हें अभी वो चिंता नहीं है कि लो लेवल इक्विलिब्रियम में जब लोग चले जाते हैं तो मटेरियलिस्टिक थिंग्स एब्सेंट कैसे हो जाती हैं. द प्रेजेंस ऑफ मटेरियलिस्टिक थिंग्स रिजल्ट्स इन discouraging people to understand their relevance. There is a saying that was John Stuart Mill saying that that aplomb, that is जब ज्यादा होता है हमारे पास, aplomb leads to contempt for wealth. ज्यादा हो गया ना तो मिल गया, पता नहीं चला कि ज्यादा है तो कंटेम्पचुअस रहते हैं, अरे वेल्थ तो कुछ नहीं है, जीवन में कुछ और मैटर करता है. लॉ ऑफ डिमिनिशिंग मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी ऑपरेट्स, that you have a lot of it and then you say, oh, I don't want it. And sometimes lack of exposure to aspirational avenues leads again to contempt of wealth. Because if I am not exposed to aspirational avenues, again I will have contempt of wealth. मुझे aspiration नहीं है, जो wealthy है उनको देख के लगता है या तो ये चोरी से wealthy हुए होंगे या hereditary. बट आप सोचिए सत्या नडेला जैसे लोग हैं या उनके जैसे काफी लोग हैं जो ना चोरी से वेल्दी हुए ना हेरिडिटरी. तो ऐसे तो बहुत सारे एग्जांपल्स आपको मिलेंगे. लेकिन आप देखिएगा ऐसे इकोनॉमीज की, ऐसे सोसाइटीज की ट्रेनिंग होती है कि वो कहते हैं नहीं नहीं, या तो इन्होंने चोरी की होगी, नहीं तो इनके जरूर फादर ग्रैंडफादर के पास बहुत पैसे रहे होंगे तभी ये वेल्दी है. नो, देयर आर न्यू एग्जांपल्स इन एन एस्पिरेशनल सोसाइटी. Then people grow from the scratch and grow big. Indian society was far away from any of this. हमारा सोसाइटी अलग था, इसीलिए मैंने आज के गांव का भी एग्जाम्पल दिया आपको कि अगर आप रियलाइज करेंगे कि हमारे आज भी बहुत लोग ऐसे जी रहे हैं, वो ओके हैं कि अच्छा लो लेवल इक्विलिब्रियम है कोई बात नहीं, लेकिन वो रियलाइज नहीं कर रहे हैं कि वो लो लेवल पे हैं, वो रादर पिटी कर रहे हैं जो अपर इक्विलिब्रियम में है. उनको लग रहा चाहिए बेचारा दिन भर काम में लगा रहता है, कोई जीवन नहीं बचा इसका. दैट इज द एस्पेक्ट दैट आई वाज ट्राइंग टू हाईलाइट टू यू. काफी चीजों में आप देखिएगा, आप में से काफी लोग होंगे, इकोनॉमिक्स पढ़ने वालों से नॉर्मली मेरा एक्सपेक्टेशन रहता है कि आपके पास कोई चारा नहीं, आप पढ़ने लिखने वाले ही स्टूडेंट रहते हैं, नहीं तो अपने कोर्स भी बहुत पहले हम छिटक जाते हैं. सो वी हैव टू स्टडी. तो वही कुछ लोगों को आप देखेंगे जब आप पढ़ रहे हैं ज्यादा, कुछ लोग आपको दया की भावना से देखेंगे, कितना पढ़ते हो तुम भी, कैसे पढ़ लेते हो इतना, आखिर क्या खा के तुमने जन्म लिया था. और कुछ लोग जब आपसे घबरा जाएंगे, जब उनको लगता है अच्छा इसके जितना काम तो नहीं कर सकते, तो आपको डिमोरलाइज करने की भी कोशिश कर सकते हैं. तुम्हारे जितना पढ़ लूं तो मैं भी इतने नंबर ले आऊंगा. These are all your student life friends who were low level equilibrium, who could not work hard, but who would detest you for working hard. And they had to give an explanation as to how you are scoring so good. So what do they give? Oh, if I study as good as you, I'll score as good as you. Not necessarily. The biggest part is, would you be able to study as good as me? ये मैंने किसी को एक दिन पूछ लिया था अपने थर्ड ईयर में, दुख होता है मुझे अब, ये मेरी गलती थी, लेकिन वो 2 साल लगातार ग्रेजुएशन में, मैं यही दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में हिंदू कॉलेज में था, तो 2 साल लगातार मुझे आके बोलते थे मेरे रूम में, इफ आई स्टडी लाइक यू आई विल स्कोर लाइक यू, इफ आई स्टडी लाइक यू आई विल स्कोर लाइक यू. वन डे आई कॉट होल्ड ऑफ हिम. आई सेड, then this is the 3rd year, at least prove it this year. Study like me and score better than me, even I will be satisfied that last 2 years I've been hearing something correct. Later on I went and said sorry to him because I was in a foul mood at that time. आप में से अगर कोई आते हैं हिंदू से और उसके हॉस्टल में रहे तो रूम नंबर 86 थोड़ा अजीब सा होता था उस जमाने में, अब नहीं पता क्या होता है वो, तो मैं वहीं होता था. अच्छा हॉस्टल बंद है, ये तो दुख की बात हो गई. हॉस्टल बंद हो गया तो अब मस्ती कहाँ करोगे. बट एनीवे, सो दिस यूज्ड टू बी ट्रबलसम. तो वो बोल दिया मैंने उन्हें, बट आपको ये समझा रहा हूँ, ये सब एग्जाम्पल तो ऐसे ही बोलता रहता हूँ. आई वाज ट्राइंग टू एक्सप्लेन टू यू अ बेसिक आइडिया. व्हाट आई वाज ट्राइंग टू एक्सप्लेन टू यू वाज, if a society doesn't have aspirations to grow, if the materialistic levels are weak, then it's very difficult to make that society a modern growth oriented society. Now you'll say, sir, what's the reason, why should we be a growth oriented society? Because even inclusive growth needs growth in it. How do you include people in poverty? तो अगर ग्रोथ नहीं होगा तो रिसोर्स कहां से आएंगे कि लोगों को इंक्लूड करेंगे. जैसे हम कहते हैं ना, मैं तो भाई प्रॉफिट के लिए काम नहीं करता, एनजीओ चलाता हूं, लोगों की सेवा करता हूं. और एनजीओ कैसे चलता है? किसी के डोनेशन से. तो जो डोनेशन दे रहे हैं वो कहां से पैसे ला रहे हैं? कमा कर. तो मैं बोलूं जो कमाते हैं बेकार हैं, और मैं महान हूं जो मैं एनजीओ चला रहा हूं, और बिना जो कमाए वालों के बिना कैसे चलाऊंगा? सरकार बोले अरे नहीं मैं तो लोगों का वेलफेयर करता हूं, किसके पैसे पे? टैक्स पेयर के. तो जो टैक्स दे रहे हैं उनका भी उतना कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन है इकोनॉमी में. वी गॉट टू अंडरस्टैंड एवरीबॉडीज रोल इन द इकोनॉमी. And therefore you need producers, therefore you need people who can do business, entrepreneurs, you need people who work. because they will create the resources which then can be utilized by economy. So growth may not be a sufficient condition for inclusion, but growth is a necessary condition for inclusion. You can't include without growth. And I will teach you this in more detail as I'm teaching you development theory. But do I believe I reached you on this last line that I was saying? That if I want to grow, even if I want to uplift people and do welfare, I will still have to grow. I can't do welfare without growth. you know okay, let's see this further. Then you write, in the same point, low productivity of agriculture. Same point, low productivity of agriculture was reflected was reflected in very low income of India and lack of food sufficiency in India. Lack of food sufficiency in India. Before I go further, I'm just explaining. कभी कभी आप मुझसे नहीं पूछते हैं, but मैं explain कर देता हूँ. Net cropped area 1 acre plus 1 acre plus 1 acre, 3 acre. Gross cropped area, how many crops did you cultivate? And so 2 crops cultivated into 1 acre plus 3 crops cultivated into 1 acre plus 1 crop cultivated into 1 acre. अगर मैंने 2 क्रॉप 1 एकड़ जमीन पे ग्रो किया तो एक तरह से यह माना जाता है कि मैंने 2 एकड़ की खेती की. अगर मैंने 3 क्रॉप 1 एकड़ पे ग्रो किया तो एक तरह से माना जाता है मैंने 3 एकड़ की खेती की. That is the thinking we have to keep in mind. One question that one of your friend asks me online is, then how come we say India was agriculture dependent? Because half of the GDP was coming from agriculture. Therefore, dependence on agriculture. And low productivity meant that even though half of the GDP was coming from agriculture, still not enough to pay for our own food requirement. Do I believe this will be clear to us? All right. Then you write the second point. Services sector dominated industrial sector because there was large insistence, insistence on trading, in a bracket you write, especially international trade. Trading, and in a bracket you write, especially international trade. Close the bracket, put a comma and write, Commission on Investment Commission on Investment implies Britishers used to invest in India and give commission to their people who had invested in India in the form of assured returns. अपने लोगों को कहते थे आप भारत में इन्वेस्ट करें, और ये नहीं कहते थे कि आपको रेट ऑफ रिटर्न ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट मिलेगा, कहते थे कमीशन ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट मिलेगा. Whatever you have invested, you will get a commission. Commission everybody understands. So whatever you have invested, you will get a commission on that. And that commission could be 5% of investment, 3% of investment, and that way money would be given to them. And that at a point of time, in fact, in 1905 to 25 period, it was estimated that the commission paid by the British was equivalent to almost 8% of India's GDP. In fact, this was the time when it was called that India was facing financial drain of wealth. ये वो वक्त था जब कहते थे कि ये फाइनेंशियल ड्रेन ऑफ वेल्थ हो रहा है इंडिया से, कि फाइनेंशियल मार्केट्स को यूज किया जा रहा है, बैंकिंग, इंश्योरेंस, इन्वेस्टमेंट्स, टू ड्रेन वेल्थ आउट ऑफ इंडिया. All right, I will teach you financial drain and all later, but keep it like that in the mind. Put a comma again and write railway services, railway services, growth of banking services. Now you know this growth of banking services was even more after 1860s. ये जो बैंकिंग सर्विसेज थे इनका ग्रोथ ज्यादा होने लगा 1860s के बाद. सो ग्रोथ ऑफ बैंकिंग सर्विसेज and large financial investments, by British in India. Large financial investments by British in India. When I say financial investment, it means setting up companies, all right, for financial purposes like giving loans, accepting deposits, banking system established in India, trading companies established in India, all for financial purposes. Financing karte the. Finance, everybody understands, loans, deposits, and so on. So Britishers made this a theory by 1910 that extract money from India through financing methods. And now many new Indian entrepreneurs were also coming up, and even they used to get dependent on British money for investment. अब British money कहाँ से आता था? Britain से नहीं. जो हमें लूटते थे, हमें वापस लोन दे देते थे. They would extract it from us and they would give it back to us as loan, and then take interest again from us. So these were methods by which they were extracting funds from India. Exchange rate manipulation was another method by which they would be doing it very often. All right. Exchange rate manipulation में क्या करते थे? They would make sure that there are differential exchange rates kept for exports and imports. That is, when they had to import Indian raw material, they would keep exchange rates comparatively depreciated so that they could buy it. That is our exchange rate depreciated so that they could buy it cheap. And when we had to buy their finished goods, they would again keep our exchange rates appreciated so that they could sell it cheap to us. You understand that? So all these manipulations would be done by them to make sure they can extract wealth away from India. But all that meant more commissions, more interest, and more trading, which meant higher services. Do I believe you are with me on this? One more point you write in the same thing. British government in India was also established with elaborate expenditure which further contributed to higher service sector contribution. Put a full stop and write manufacturing was dominated by consumer goods like cotton textile, leather goods, jute products, and sugar. High value commodities like luxury watches, furniture of upper end, luxury watches, furniture of upper end, etc., were missing in India. Were missing in India. Therefore, industrial contribution remained low and lesser than remained low and lesser than agricultural contribution. I'm sorry, service sector's contribution. Lesser than service sector's contribution. Again, the basic part I wanted you to learn was that high value industries were missing in India. There were low value industries, and unless high value industries don't come, industrial production will not go up. High value industries like big capital goods industry, high value industries like luxury consumer goods industry, they were missing. वो नहीं थे इंडिया में. Light consumer goods were dominant, and that is iron and steel was the only dominant capital goods industry in India, and that meant that overall industrial production capacity was less. Then one more point you write in that agriculture dominated the occupational structure. Agriculture dominated the occupational structure due to two main reasons. Agriculture dominated the occupational structure due to two main reasons. One, absence of large scale industrialization. Large scale industrialization, which could hire more workers. Absence of large scale industrialization, which could hire more workers, comma, along with absence of rural industrialization, absence of rural industrialization due to subsistence economy. Rural industrialization due to subsistence economy. The handicrafts were almost destroyed in India. And handicrafts had been destroyed post 1879 pretty badly in India. All right. In fact, there is one more question that one of your friend asks me online that after independence we were not trading much with outer world. So we are not talking after independence situation here. We are talking at independence. So that relates to what was happening before independence. Understand that. ये जो डेटा सेट आप पढ़ रहे हैं सारा कुछ ये 1951 का है तो ये इस बात को रिफ्लेक्ट कर रहा है कि उसके 30-40 साल पहले से क्या हो रहा था. Understand it like that, you know. So we were not trading much after independence, but what we were doing before that is what was British exploitation of the system that we need to keep in mind. And there is another thing that one of your friend asks me that how commissions are service sector, because commissions will be given for doing trading, doing investment, so they will count as income earned over in case of services. All right. So understand it like that. Another thing you understand, okay, there's one more thing that some of you might also feel that if you want me to elaborate more on how growth and inclusion come together, I will, elaborate on this when I'm teaching you inclusive growth as a topic. The point I wanted you to keep in mind was that you cannot have inclusion because you will not have resources to include unless you are not growing GDP wise. India was not growing GDP wise well, and hence the inclusion part was missing. I'll teach you more things as we go forward in the course, but this is how you have to think. Plus, the handicraft question that you asked me, Indian industries were in a bad shape when the Britishers left us. And I was explaining to you why we were in a bad shape. Now, that doesn't mean no industries were there. It only means that industrial development was sporadic, that is less in amount and scattered. तो बहुत सारा ब्रिटिश इंडिया था जहां इंडस्ट्रीज देखे नहीं थे लोगों ने, जानते नहीं थे उसके बारे में. स्मॉल स्केल इंडस्ट्रीज थी लेकिन वो इतनी छोटी थी कि एम्प्लॉयमेंट नहीं दे सकती थी, और लार्ज स्केल इंडस्ट्रीज मिसिंग थे और मॉडर्न इंडस्ट्रीज मिसिंग थे. So this is what we were inheriting. What I'm teaching you today is what were we inheriting from the British? And where were we at that point of time? This is the question that they had asked in the past year paper that I told you. And this is what they can repeat. They can ask you about analysis of economic structure of India at the time of independence. What is analysis? I see the data and I give reasons for that data. Alright, ये डेटा था और कारण क्या थे फिर इसके, क्यों ऐसी हालत थी हमारी जैसी थी. क्यों ये जानना जरूरी है? क्योंकि जब वो जानोगे तो पता चलेगा क्यों हम ऐसे हैं जैसे आज हैं. Understand that. You know, if we don't know what we have inherited historically, where did we grow from, we will keep repeating the errors that we have been doing. More importantly, we wouldn't even know the source of why it is happening, what is happening. इसीलिए रिलेट करो. क्लास में मैं कुछ बातें मजाक में बोलूंगा, बट आप विश्वास रखिए कि यहाँ जब खड़ा हो जाता हूँ तो एक भी बात इररेलेवेंट नहीं करूंगा आपसे. थोड़ी देर पहले आप याद कीजिए जब मैं आपको बोल रहा था दैट अबाउट पास्ट, दैट हाउ डू वी टेक करप्शन कैजुअली इन इंडिया एंड सो ऑन. It is to tell you how history affects your current behavior. Understand that. How legacy affects my current behavior. It all has an impact. So what am I doing today will be impacted by what I have grown up with or what I am culturally ingrained with. Understand that also. You know, ये cultural ingrainment है कुछ हम में, और वो economy को से divorced नहीं है. They will affect the economy. All right. Then you write a second point in this. No, see, even if you are not exposed to the market, the production for self-consumption contributes to GDP. For commodities, it can always be estimated. All right, that is the idea. Also remember one thing, when it comes to subsistence farming, it was not that there was no monetary economy or there was no exchange economy. Exchanges were happening, money would play some role. It was just that there was no surplus in the system. Savings, investments, they were not much heard of in India in those days. Another question I'm asked online is that to talk about evolution of banking, what kind of banks prevailed in India in those days? But all types of banks prevailed. International banks prevailed, joint stock companies prevailed, Indian banks like Punjab National Bank prevailed, big banks like Imperial Bank of India prevailed, and before that the presidency banks. So banking हर तरह की थी भारत में, but again वही situation था. It would be scattered and it would be weak. All right, so it was more meant to extract than to contribute in Indian system. All right, you write the second point in this then. You write, small scale industries were present. Small scale industries were present, but they were not having critical level of production to employ large number of people. Full stop. There was no policy support. There was no policy support by the British towards small scale industries. There was no policy support by the British towards small scale industries. मैं तुम्हें एक बात और बताता हूं इसमें, कभी कभी आपसे अगर इकोनॉमिक स्ट्रक्चर की जगह रादर देन इकोनॉमिक स्ट्रक्चर, इफ दे आस्क यू अ क्वेश्चन ऑन ओनली इनकम स्ट्रक्चर or only occupational structure, I'm trying to give your 60-70 words for that. All right, my purpose is that कि आपके पास 70-80 words होने चाहिए as the content. See, 30 words introduction, 30 words conclusion, and 80 odd words content will prepare you for a 140-150 word answer, even in places where they surprise you. All right. So suppose if they ask you only about income structure of India, whatever I have made you write will be around 70-80 words. And then if you add 30-30 words of introduction conclusion to it, you will make a 150 word decent answer. So be prepared to think like that. All right. एग्जाम की तैयारी में हमेशा ये बात दिमाग में रखोगे कि मुझे पूछ क्या सकते हैं और मुझे सरप्राइज या परेशान कैसे कर सकते हैं. वो मेरा काम है, ऑफ कोर्स आपने मुझे डिसेंट्रलाइज किया है तो वही कर रहा हूं जो आपको बता रहा हूं. That sometimes they may not ask you economic structure, they can ask you income structure, occupational structure separately. Sometimes they can ask you the entire economic structure along with another tail question, everything for 150 words. So writing skill development is that how do we learn how to write more when I know less, and how to write less when I know more. That training we will do for you, but that is what you need to start understanding, that okay, some things have to be left, some things have to be added. This is a training you will need for optional score to be better. अब एक क्वेश्चन जो वो अलग से पूछ सकते हैं वो ये है that why services sector had more employment than industries. Because service is less employment oriented or employment intensive. Industries are more employment intensive. But if we look at the data set that we had developed, service sector had more employment and industrial sector had lesser employment share. So next part that arises, and this can be a separate question, that why service sector had more employment and why industries had less employment. So I'm making you write that. Again, it's a feature. You can write that as the next point. You can write British period ended with large employment in services compared to manufacturing. Because you write one, very large recruitment by British government, for administration, defense and trade. आगे बढ़ने से पहले एक बात और बता देता हूं, आपके एक मित्र ऑनलाइन भी पूछ रहे हैं. The question asked online is that, but India had TISCO. Of course India had TISCO. But imagine the whole of India had one TISCO, one ISCO and one Mysore mills, बाकी सब खिसको. पूरे भारत की ये हालत थी. इतना बड़ा देश, और उस वक्त पाकिस्तान और बांग्लादेश भी इंक्लूडेड थे. 1935 तक बर्मा भी इंक्लूडेड था. और डेवलपमेंट कितने इंडस्ट्रीज की थी? कैपिटल गुड्स में आप क्या सोच पाते हैं? एक टिस्को, एक IISC which was created in 1918, and another was the Bhadravati, and then later on the Mysore part, industry development, steel, that was 1918, developed till 1938. This was India's industrialization. And there's one more question that one of your friend asked, that India is said to be the largest economy in 16th century. Do we have a proof of it? Remember, we were not the largest, we were the second largest. Chinese were the largest. And the proof is the economic history theories that we develop. it's possible to estimate the economies of countries based on the records on production, the records on output creation, agriculture growth, trading that we have of that era. So if somebody tells you India was the second largest economy in the world in 16th century, it's correct. Even in 17th century, we were the second largest economy in the world. Then 1757 Battle of Plassey, the decline started. You know, surprising thing I'll tell you, even when the British left us, we were the sixth largest economy in the world. जब ब्रिटिश रूल खत्म हुआ, सिर्फ भारत, पाकिस्तान, बांग्लादेश को अलग करके, ओनली इंडिया वाज द सिक्स्थ लार्जेस्ट इकोनॉमी इन द वर्ल्ड. हमने मेहनत की, फिर जम के ग्रो नहीं किए, और 1991 आते आते 13th लार्जेस्ट इकोनॉमी इन द वर्ल्ड बन गए. अपने करतूत की क्रेडिट ब्रिटिश को सिर्फ नहीं दे सकते. वो हमें सेकंड से सिक्स्थ लाए, हम खुद को सिक्स्थ से 13th ले गए सोशलिज्म के नाम पर. कि सबको बराबर करेंगे, उस चक्कर में सब कुछ बराबर कर दिया. तो आप समझिएगा, ये बात धीरे धीरे सिखाऊंगा भी आपको. बट इफ समबडी सेज ब्रिटिश रूल वाज डिस्ट्रक्टिव, नो डाउट इट वाज. दे डिड डिस्ट्रॉय आवर कैपेबिलिटीज बिग टाइम, थ्रू अस बैक इन टाइम and all. But later on, even we didn't learn our lesson. And the decline of India continued. 1951 to 91 was the time when India slipped down from the sixth largest to the 13th largest economy in the world. So the drag continued then. It was only after 91 that we started growing. And then from 91 to 2023, now again from 13th to 5th is where we have reached. So, और उसमें भी मैं तुम्हें एक इंटरेस्टिंग बात बताता हूँ. Till 1961, we were still the sixth largest economy in the world. Till 1961. So the real problem arose between 61 and 91. So if somebody says Pandit Nehru was responsible for India's decline, well, he died 64. You pay for your children's deeds, so it's understandable, you know. But that is the basic idea to understand, that, you know, India was comparatively not doing badly, but later on slipped even worse. So understand it in that manner and you will get the better understanding of things. एक और आखिरी बार मैं बता रहा हूँ, कमीशन को रेट ऑफ रिटर्न से कंफ्यूज मत करना. कमीशन मतलब मैं तुम्हें कोई सामान दिलाता हूँ और या कोई एफर्ट करता हूँ तुम्हारे लिए, और बदले में जो तुम्हें मिलता है उसका कुछ पार्ट मैं ले लेता हूँ. Alright, I do some effort for you. Suppose I arrange finance for you. You do your business, you earn money, and I take money from you as my commission of the effort I did for you. That's a service I gave you. Rate of return means I invested money in your company, you earned profit, and I took money from you in return. I hope the commission and rate of return understanding is clear then. All right, अगर नहीं भी समझते हो कोई भी बात जरूर पूछो. ये चिंता भी मत करो कि आपके ऑनलाइन फ्रेंड वैसे वो काम पूरा कर देंगे. ऑनलाइन नॉर्मली वी आस्क मच मोर देन ऑफलाइन. दैट्स अंडरस्टैंडेबल, यू नो. और कभी कभी आप ऐसे सवाल पूछते हो जो आप मुझे पर्सनल मैसेज पे भी पूछ सकते हो. जैसे आपके गांव का नाम क्या है? आपने, एक आदमी ने मुझे पूछा, मैंने जवाब नहीं दिया क्योंकि मुझे लगा क्लास के बीच में मैं क्या ही बोलूं. बट यू नो, यू कैन आस्क मी ऑफलाइन एंड आई कैन आस्क मी ऑन मैसेज एंड आई कैन आंसर. सो डू इट लाइक दैट. बट अंडरस्टैंड दिस, जब ये कंसेप्ट जो हैं पढ़ते हुए आपको लग सकता है ये हिस्ट्री के कंसेप्ट्स हैं, बट दिस इज व्हाट यू विल यूज इन एनालाइजिंग इंडियन इकोनॉमी पोस्ट 91 ऑल्सो. Alright, so you need to be very careful while understanding and reading these things up. Okay, let's quickly then complete this. You write, first reason, this is why did we have this situation. Why was service sector employment larger than manufacturing or industries? You write A, you wrote recruitment by the British? Oh, sorry. Then you write second, or B, manufacturing was concentrated. Manufacturing was concentrated in urban areas, and mainly presidency cities. Presidency cities are Madras, Calcutta. They were presidency cities. Bombay was another. All right. Therefore, so mainly concentrated in urban areas and presidency cities. Therefore, it was more capital intensive. Capital intensive means which uses more machines and less workers. All right, capital intensive means which uses more machines and less workers. So it was more capital intensive, comma, employed trained professionals and and large number of people were unfit. Large number of people were unfit to be employed in this category. And then you write the third reason. Majority of population was involved in trading, which was a dominant activity which also included small shopkeeping and petty traders, PETTY, petty traders. Petty traders are small traders. So it was, an entire chain of people. It would start from people at the top, big traders, and then medium scale, then small scale, then petty traders, and all of them. Trading was a very dominant activity of India in those days. So that is the reason why services employed more people, manufacturing employed less. Now, see, what I tried doing was, if they ask you about a 250 word question, 20 marks question, explaining economic structure of India, I tried giving you that. If they ask you a 150 word question talking only income structure of India, or a 150 word question asking only occupational structure of India, I tried giving you points on that. Or if they ask you a 150 word question only talking about a comparison between services and industry, then you will talk about why services had larger GDP contribution than industry and why services had larger occupational structure contribution than industry. So these are the possible questions that they can ask you from what we have been discussing today. All right, these are the possible questions that can be picked from there. All right, can I borrow your notes that I gave you today? No, the last one, the below one. Yeah. So I hope all of you have this as a copy. Okay, you can collect it. If by chance you don't have it, just collect it from outside. Now, see, uh, if you come to your paper 2, Indian economy after independence, the pre-liberalization era, what I have started discussing with you today is national and per capita income, patterns, trends, aggregate and sectoral composition and changes therein. All right, ये टॉपिक मैंने आज आपके साथ शुरुआत की है. All right, national and per capita income, patterns, trends, aggregate and so on. And broad factors determining national income. They get connected to each other. That what are the broad factors determining national income? What I want you to do before you can see me tomorrow, what I want you to do, if you could just read through the first 3-4 pages, that is analysis of Indian economy, till the topic of import substitution. You don't need to read import substitution. You don't need to read import substitution. Till the topic of import substitution, you just give a general read and come tomorrow. In tomorrow's discussion, you will be much better off. All right. Every class, I will keep telling you what I expect you to do. Other than that, whatever we have done in class, जो उसको रिवाइज नहीं करते, नर्क में उनके लिए अलग से कढ़ाई की व्यवस्था कर रखी है मैंने. All right. So you have got to make sure that you have revised what we have done in the class, and just these 2-3 pages you read. And I see you tomorrow, 3 o'clock then. Thank you. Have a great day. Pages 4, 5, 6, till before import substitution, Aditya. It was not so good, Sushil. It was not such a good idea. हाँ, मैं बताता हूँ. ऐसा देखो कि जब उन्हें हमसे रॉ मटेरियल खरीदना होता था तो जानबूझ के हमारा एक्सचेंज रेट डिप्रिशिएट कर देते थे. ठीक है. तो डिप्रिशिएट करने से क्या होगा कि हमारे जो एक्सपोर्ट्स हैं, जो ये रॉ मटेरियल होते थे, वो एक्सपोर्ट्स चीपर हो जाते थे. एंड व्हेन दे वर सेलिंग देयर फिनिश्ड गुड्स, for that they would keep exchange rate appreciated, so their products would become cheaper for us and would dominate Indian market. So that was the manipulation. देखो, कमीशन का मतलब होता है that you are talking about I do some work for you and in return you give me some money. All right, that is commission. Rate of interest means I give you some money, loan, etc., and in return you give me my due. All right. हाँ, कमीशन फिर भी देना पड़ेगा, वो भी. हाँ, बिकॉज इट्स नॉट, देखो, नीदर कमीशन नॉर रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट इज लाइक अ डिविडेंड. दोनों में से कोई डिविडेंड नहीं है. डिविडेंड इज द ओनली थिंग जो मुझे ड्यू है अगर प्रॉफिट भी हुआ तो अगर प्रॉफिट नहीं भी हुआ तो भी ये पैसे तो आपको मुझे देने पड़ेंगे. राइट. मंडीज आर ट्रेड. जो एग्रीकल्चरल मंडीज हैं वो ट्रेड है, अंडर सर्विस सेक्टर.
Sir, when you say that you expect us to do the NCRTs, does that mean that you will not discuss balance of payment, exchange?
No, no, I will discuss them, but if you have read through that, it will make it easier for you to understand what I am discussing.
Secondly, sir, being a student who has done GS with you earlier,
So more or less things are covered.
need to ever visit the GS notebook or everything would be
Everything will be covered.
including some prelims already?
More than detail. Yes, yes. Got this. I'll just take 1 second. Give me 1 second. Thank you, Divyanshi. You have to read the notes I have uploaded, Deepthi, till the topic on import substitution. Yes, you can get the notes from the center. India became a low level equilibrium economy mainly during the British system. Thank you, Gaza. Thank you, Jasleen. हाँ, नोट्स मिल जाएगा तुम्हें कॉपी का. More of both the trades. When we say trade as a dominant activity, we imply more of both the trades. Dev, I'm answering your question. Yeah, please. So monocropping is when I keep growing the same crop year after year. For example, if I am growing rice in the Kharif crop and wheat in the Rabi crop, then I'm growing rice and wheat year after year. That's monocropping. Monoculture is if I'm growing rice in the entire year, I'm growing only rice. Oh, yes, in monoculture it's possible. This year I grow rice and next year I grow pulses. And sometimes there can be both monocropping, all right, and monoculture. If I'm growing the same crop and only one crop year after year. As in suppose मैं राइस ही ग्रो करता हूँ, 8 महीने मेरा धान की खेती होती है और उस 8 महीने के अलावा मैं कुछ नहीं करता. Now I'm doing both monocropping and monoculture. The course of the curriculum as in the. Oh, okay. So no, we will, as I told you in the beginning, that we'll be doing India before 91, and then micro, macro, and so on, and then coming back to India after 91 and India before 47. ठीक है. नहीं नहीं, बस एक रीडिंग लगा लो. अगर कहीं फंसते हो तो हम लोगों से पूछ लो, मुझे पूछ लो या संदीप सर को पूछ लो, ठीक है. बट एक रीडिंग लगा के कंसेप्ट क्लियर कर लो. अब देखो, जब मैं मान लो तुम्हारे लिए कोई काम कर देता हूँ, तुम्हारा कोई बिजनेस डेवलप करवा दिया और तुम्हें उससे फायदा कुछ हुआ या तुम अपना बिजनेस कर रहे हो, तो मैं अपना एक कमीशन लूंगा. हाँ, तुमसे कमीशन लूंगा कि तुमने इतने का बिजनेस किया और बदले में मैंने तुम्हें उसमें मदद की, तो तुम मुझे कमीशन दो. और जो इंटरेस्ट इनकम का मतलब होता है कि मैंने तुम्हें कोई लोन दिया होगा, पैसे दिए होंगे और उस पैसे के बदले में तुमसे पैसे मांग रहा हूँ. हाँ, लोन के बदले इंटरेस्ट ले रहा हूँ. गॉड ब्लेस यू. I'll take just 1 second. I'll just take 1 second. All right. You have to read everything till import substitution. Look into the notes and you will get that. Thank you, all of you.